Coming to you from Blue Cruise Studio in Temecula, California, it's the Whiskey Throttle Show. Taking you inside the lives of the legends and leaders in moto and action sports. Today's guest is brought to you by Yamaha. Yamaha is the industry leader in two-wheeled fun and performance. Celebrating 50 years of YZ in 2024, the Blue Crew is still dominating shootouts and competitions. Yamaha, revs your heart. SKDA is the leader in motorcycle graphics. Driven by a combined passion for art and motorcycles, SKDA has become a global leader in the off-road motorcycle space. Their graphics can be spotted from a mile away with a unique design that blends speed and creativity. SKDA, search and supply of true art within moto. Troy Lee Designs, where speed and style collide. TLD blends elite level safety with the style and swagger that only Troy Lee can deliver. Moto, adventure, bike, paint, casual wear, whatever your passion, Troy Lee Designs is waiting for you on the next level. And by Nihilo Concepts, enhance your riding experience with superior products like the start-stop conversion kit, secondary on-switch, billet components, titanium foot pegs, and more, including the new Map Tuner Nano. You can read and clear codes, monitor sensors, log data, and flash and tune the ECU from any Austrian bike. Nihilo Concepts makes exceptional products, all of which are made right here in the USA. Hey everybody, thanks for joining us here at the Whiskey Throttle Show in the Blue Cruise Studio. I'm your host, David Pingree, and a really cool guest today, guy I've been trying to get on for a long time. It's just taking a little bit to connect, but former mini-cycle prodigy. I don't know if he likes hearing that or not, but this was a guy I really looked up to as a kid. And freestyle motocross pioneer, was in the front lines of that as it became a sport. It's Tommy Clowers, TomCat. Welcome to the show, man. Stoked to have you.
Hey, thank you. Glad to be here.
So we started all our shows with it's called the Nihilo Concepts Front End Chatter. All of our folks at home know what this is. Nihilo Concepts, one of our partners, makes a lot of great stuff for your bike. Check those guys out. And just want to kind of, we chatted a little bit prior to you sitting down, but what have you been up to these days? Because, man, you kind of been out of the spotlight for a little while.
Yeah, for sure. I guess where I'm at and how I got to where I'm at now, job-wise. Yeah. So my transition into, I always call it a real job. I remember I got an interview, landed an interview with Mauro Meadows, and I show up at the interview, right? And you're still nervous for that type of stuff too. And there was another guy being hired too, Rob Collins, and he's an electrician. I'm new to this, don't know much about electricians, what they do, all this type of stuff. But where my past kind of wraps around and intertwines throughout my career is, we end up going to the same job at Harris Rincon. That was the first job that I got hired to help or to do safety for. And then Rob, we start talking and he rides. And he used to go to all these CMC Golden State Nationals, and so he knows of me, pretty well. And I'm like, oh, so that's part. Anyway, that was cool. And then so he's all, yeah, So I would give him tips on riding, or we talk about riding a lot. He follows your show. He loves, follows riding, listens to podcasts and stuff like that. So, anyways, a great, just meeting people like that turned into a great friendship, and but that all helped me integrate into my new job, right? Kind of gave it a more comfortable feeling in there, and you got someone helping you out that kind of there were other people like you're running a hard hat, you're walking around the job site. I don't know how, but people, hey TomCat, what's up, man? I'm like, hey, what's happening? Hey, and then the next question would be, what are you doing here? Yeah, right. And so that's where you got to swallow the pride a bit, and hey man, I'm just here working, just doing my thing. But that's part of the transition. But yeah, meeting good people like Rob really helped with that, gain confidence and stuff like that. So that was cool.
That's cool. Real quick follow up. What about was that your first job interview?
Yeah,
because I didn't do my first interview till I interviewed with the fire department, and holy cow. I wasn't ready for that. It's different.
Well, it was the first one, but my first stint of work was with cement cutting, but that was just a my friend, like Jeff Grafton's dad, Harold, got me in. It wasn't really an interview.
You didn't have a proper interview. Yeah.
No, it was like, oh, you need a job? Okay, here, you can help do this, and I'm, laboring for him. Which that everything teaches you stuff, right? That teaches you how much you want to come back to riding. After you get into it a little bit, and you're like, man, and then it gives you that drive again that you may have lost or whatever the case was, right?
Yeah.
So that did help. It all had a role to help, but yeah, getting into the you knew your career's over now, and you're in that aspect, and you're starting a new career. So, but getting into those, wearing nice clothes and stuff like that, going into interviews, it's nerve-wracking, but you try to.
Yeah, I had to get on Google and figure out how to tie a tie.
No,
I had no idea.
Same thing. Okay, I was so nervous. My hands are sweating. I'm just like, I feel like a fish out of water. Yeah. Like, what am I doing? It was scary, man.
Scary.
Very nerve-wracking, but you settle in, and to your point, like when they were saying that, and then after and as I started taking more of these classes, I'm like, I don't have experience of 15 years, 10 years, 20 years, whatever. But as I learned from them in there, I'm learning it the right way the first time versus they're trying to change what they've learned over the years, which may have not been the right way. Or the
way they want you to do it.
The new, new push for safety and stuff like that with which, it has it has a big impact on jobs and bids and all that type of stuff. So
one of the kind of big pushes for me was consistency or not having to worry. Like when you're racing, it's like, okay, how am I going to make a living this year? What team am I going to ride for? How am I going to make this mortgage payment if I don't do well, right? Like I was looking for, stability.
Exactly. Yes.
And, like I said, you do have to punch through that wall of like, okay, I'm going outside, way outside my comfort zone.
Yep.
And I'm going to start at the very bottom. I'm going to be the, boot licking.
That's the thing. You got to put your ego aside.
Yeah.
You're not who you used to be.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And
that's hard. I think that's the hardest part for people to push through is like, no, dude, I'm freaking, I won 4X Games gold. I'm not going to go to this class and go be like,
yeah,
nobody.
I'm a beginner over here.
Yeah.
Right. And so letting go of that is hard to do for any top professional rider or anything. Right. Yeah. So you got to do that. And that's kind of why I focused on that. I didn't focus back of dipping back into riding or dipping back into, I don't know. I just put my attention towards that and kind of tuned my past career out, kind of. Even though it would get brought up a lot, and it actually helped me get to where I am by recognition. Someone recognizing me in one of the classes and stuff like that. But you got to let go of that to move forward.
Yeah.
And so I had to do that and just dive in with both feet, and it was really it's different because you're using not that you don't use your mind in riding, but you're using your mind in a different way. And it was almost refreshing that I'm like, it's not just so physical. Even though in my riding days, I was more physical than freestyle days. I get that, you don't have to be in insane shape to be a freestyle guy, but you do, there's a different aspect to that.
Different aspects, yeah.
But here it was all, you're exhausted at the end of the day, mentally exhausted.
Breaking a mental sweat all
day. Yeah, I'm breaking a mental sweat. So definitely a lot of, all that's changed, So, but it took a while, and I'm doing well at it.
Yeah, I love seeing it. It's not easy, but like you just said, man, if you just take all your racing mentality, focus it on whatever it is, and go, you'll get there.
Yeah,
we got all the tools. You got your son into riding because I've seen on your Instagram page like you guys out riding together. What's that like? I have girls, so I don't really get to experience that, but it's got to be pretty fun, huh? Or is it scary?
It's scary.
Yeah.
You know what? I don't. I've had this conversation at the track a few times, or with people. Like people might think I don't know, not nervous out there for him, or what? I'm way nervous. I'm when you're not in control, like, we know what can happen.
Yeah,
because it's happened. I've had, however many concussions, broken bones, all this stuff, right? And you're just like, I'm I'm proud of what he's doing. He's doing great. We're going at, I'm not pushing anything. It's just all him wanting to do it.
Yeah.
And so, but he wants to do it, and then we're just taking it gradually. We're not going to Loretta Lynn's right now. We're not doing that. We're going to Moto for Kids races, local races, Glen Helen, stuff like that. And we actually just moved up to. He's only 14, but this is different for me. But he's like 5'8". And
You're like, what's going on?
I'm like, he just shot up. So I'm like, he's getting cramped on the 85 and then the Super Mini. And so we got him on a Yamaha 250F. And I actually watched one of your reviews on that to get some before I bought it and stuff like that. So, but yeah, anyway, it's, he's more stretched out, just looking way smoother out there. So going well.
It's so funny because I'll ask people, like, our parents, I don't know, maybe I can't speak for your dad, but like my dad was never worried about me getting hurt. He was always kind of pushing me. Oh, you could jump that. I'll go, but he didn't race. So I feel like he didn't know. Right. And I think back like now, I can't believe my dad was just like letting me rip, or he'd,
our days. Yes. Well, my dad did push me, and got me to jump stuff. And then after you jump it, you're like, if it went well, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that was easy.
Yeah.
Well, see, I told you, but we wouldn't be where we're at with, I wouldn't be accomplished any, what I did without my dad. It's tough love type of thing. But that's the story with all people that have succeeded in sports, right? There is that
the parent pushes them.
Yeah, it is. You're out there until you get that drive, and that goes up and down with when it's 100 degrees out and you got to go do a 35-minute moto, but your friends are going to the beach, right? And so,
or you get a girlfriend,
or that, and then so all those types of things. But
what I was trying to get at is most moto guys who raced at a very high level, they don't want their kids to ride, or they just keep it very mellow, right? Like it's rare to have like a Nick Way where his kids are all in and he's pushing forward, because we know it's not a great gamble. You know what I'm saying? To try to say, okay, I'm going to be a professional. Good luck. You're better off taking all that money, take every dollar you have and go to Vegas and put it on black or red on a roulette spin.
Right. And I've had that conversation multiple times, when we're out there and about the hard work it takes and this, and that, you see, and the difference is now too, with social media, people mostly post what they did good, right?
Right.
So you're seeing winning, you're seeing cool whips, you're seeing this, you're seeing that. You're not seeing all the fails or how long it's taken them to get to this point, right? So when you go out there, they expect immediate results. Where I'm like, no, this is a process. This is days in, days out. Come in here. You may not get gains for a long time. And then when you do, you don't know how big, it's a long process, but it's not immediate. And that's, I think, with the new generation is that,
they want it right now.
Who doesn't? But it just doesn't happen that way. And back a little bit on the riding side, like I grew up riding in the hills. Yeah. Right. In Santee, lost coaches, Mike Craig, and all, in the hills. I spent half my life back there. Some people don't even know where they are. Right. But we have tracks, and they're just all in the bushes. Yeah. They're just like, wide as this table. Yeah. And you're going fourth gear wide open, and there's rocks and this and that and rain ruts and in California, you learn throttle control because it's dry. Right. No water trucks, no nothing.
Yeah. Well, back in the day you did. Now they don't do that.
Well, I mean, I'm talking that scenario. But also, I would be out there if I could talk someone in to go riding with me, or if I went with like Mike or somebody. But a lot of times I'd be out there by myself. And when you're talking about your dad, like, no way would I let Cole out there by himself in the hills. Hey, I'm gonna go do some motos and then come back, because I've been out there. I broke a chain way out there. I pushed my bike. I've been knocked out there, but luckily there were friends. All the things that could go wrong, right? But yeah, there's no way I'd do that now.
Okay, so are we softer, or is it just because we know? We know.
I just think I think we know. I know we've experienced it and just know how hard it is. And even I did succeed, but I did okay in racing, but I really started making a living in freestyle.
Yeah.
So even as much as I did in racing, I didn't, in my mind, make a living and succeed at it that well.
Right.
I mean, I got by, but it wasn't.
Didn't meet your expectations.
Yeah,
probably.
you know, especially from, you know, we'll probably get into the minis, you know, the amateur side coming in and all that, but injuries come in and play a part and all that. How quickly it can change. And anyway, it's just so hard. And so I'm really putting that in his ear a lot so that there's, you know, we keep our expectations day to day, week to week. Just go out there and just have fun, man. Try to have fun and just ride.
Well, and it is amazing. Like, I take my girls riding. We trail ride mostly. But, like, just even sharing that, or they'll make it up a climb or they'll do something. And I don't know. It's cool to see them get that enjoyment from a bike.
Yeah.
Right? To go back to why we started riding. Like, just a simple little track in your backyard.
Well, what do you hear all the pros when they get out there? When you get to this, you get here, you do this, then you get on the podium. Hey, man, I just want to go out there and have fun. And you want to go back to your roots, right?
Yeah.
You want to go back to the reason, even though it turns into a job.
Yeah,
for sure. Especially on the hot, humid days, right? And when things aren't going well, or you know you're injured and you're trying to ride through it and all this stuff. So it turns into a job, and all you want to do is think back to the
start.
The true reason you got into it. And my daughter loves riding too, Avery. We go out to Ocotillo, and she likes ride. She's pretty good at other sports. She does tennis and softball, and they just played this powder poker. Anyway, but pretty athletic. That's too. Right. And so I had to hold her back. She was just gassing it off. I'm like, whoa, hold on. Like technique. You know, that's what I've been teaching Cole. And so to me, he looks, you know, Rhino might have some issues, some things to adjust here, which I like. I like Rhino. But I think he looks pretty good on the bike. My thing was teach technique and speed will come.
Yeah.
Right. So you get the technique down, the foundation, and speed will come. So I did probably hold him back on as far as going racing. I everywhere, like you said, kind of controlling the situation when you're younger. We went riding and stuff like that, but I didn't keep pushing it. And we're riding on the week. We're riding 3 days a week. We're doing, you know.
Yeah.
I was kind of seeing where it'd go and hold it back, but bottom line, he has fun doing it. You know, it's enjoyable watching him, and when he does clear that double or this or that and that stoke on his face, and
that's
so
cool.
It's cool.
Does the family come? Like, does your wife enjoy watching that too, or does she get nervous?
She'll go to races and stuff like that. My dad, he'll be with me all the time. Yeah. Everywhere we go, every practice we're going. He actually takes them. He'll take them this Friday to Fox because I'm working, so he'll take them. And then, you know, out there, you know, now that I'm back at the track more, it's introduced me back to, you know, friends again. Like Mike Craig's out there training and stuff all the time, so he'll take him under his wing and he'll jump into a class with him or something like that, or you know, just he's, you know, and just ride with friends. As you're out there, you meet more other riders and stuff like that, so it's good.
That's awesome. I love to see it. Hey, get over to whiskeythrottlemedia.com if you guys haven't. We got all kinds of content over there. Moto, off-road, dual sport. We've got merch. If you guys need some coaching online, Elevate Action Sports or at elevateactionsports.com or at Elevate Motocross on Instagram. Great way to get dialed in. That's Langston, Fro, Emig, myself, and Johnny Campbell put together an online training program. It's pretty rad. Check it out. Our guest story is brought to you by Yamaha. Let's get to it. Santee boy, right?
Yep.
Born and raised?
Yep.
I was trying to think
yeah, pretty much. We had a stint, and my dad was in the Navy, so we moved to Hawaii when I was 2. Born in San Diego, moved to Hawaii when I was 2, then back here when I was 5, and to the El Cajon, Santee, bounced around in there.
So did you learn to surf when you were over there?
I was like 2 to 3, but I do remember my dad, I was on, I think, a styrofoam board, and he's pushing me out to I think we lived on Honolulu, this place called the Blowhole. Okay. And he would take me around to that, and I don't know, he'd jump in it and fly out and all this stuff. But
just throwing you in.
Didn't really get into. I wish I would have learned surfing more. You know, back when I had cool hair. Yeah, I looked good walking in and out, but other than that, not the best surfer.
Well, so did you play other sports over there? I know you're pretty young, but 2 to 5, that would be when you kind of start doing stuff. Or what did you guys do for fun over there?
No, I didn't really. I mean, I wasn't even getting.
I guess you weren't even in school.
Yeah, I wasn't even in school yet. But when I got back that things change quickly.
Okay, so you came back when you're 5 to Santee, and then how did you get into moto? Like, when did you get your first bike and all that?
So we started with BMX.
Okay.
And I would just ride around the neighborhood and stuff like that, and I was jumping and stuff like that. And then my dad, easing into it, one of my friends, I think it was Bobby Fight at the time, mentioned, "Hey, you should take Tommy racing." My first race, he takes me to Las Vegas for a national, I'm riding my dad's Diamondback, which is big for me, with a paper number plate, and I get 4th place, and the trophy was taller than me. I know that's not saying much, probably at that time too, right?
Jeez.
But so got 4th, then came back, and then we started racing BMX and local tracks like Rancho, the Velodrome, down in San Diego, and then Lakeside had a track. And then that started progressing, and by the time I was 7, I was like number 1 7-year-old expert in the world, ABA and all that type of stuff.
Jeez.
And I rode
Radical Rick.
So, but that was cool. Then we were traveling around hitting, I don't know, wherever they were, Oklahoma.
Yeah, I was going to say the Grands were in Oklahoma, right? Was it still Oklahoma City, or where were they?
It was somewhere like that.
Yeah,
we were in Texas, Oklahoma, just all around it, all these
Yeah.
things, and rode a few different bikes. But I remember I had this Killer Robinson, a blue one, that was titanium bottom bracket and all this type of stuff. But it was good. I was with the guys like from Torque, like who are their names? Mikey King, Eddie King,
Yeah.
guys like that, Stu Thompson. We traveled with those guys, and it was cool. So anyway, then we come back, and then my dad was in the Navy, so we lived in.
What kind of bike did you ride? Kind of at your peak.
I think it was with DG at the end,
Okay.
and then like a Kuwahara wanted to sponsor me and that's when I went into. My dad bought me a motorcycle that year, and we started going racing.
I had a red line because I started BMX too.
Yeah, they were always those two road.
I wanted a Kasten. Do you remember those? It had like one fork. At the time, it was like the only BMX bike that had one fork.
I always remember PK Rippers were cool.
Rippers, yeah.
They still are cool, the colors.
Yeah. They're still big, I think, in that that world. Okay, so tell me about that first bike then. What did he bring you home, and how did that?
So by riding BMX in Murphy Canyon, which is by Tierra by a stadium down there, is Navy housing, and we were riding around, and then we came across some people washing their bikes, and that was Mike Craig and his dad, Les Craig. And then Dad started talking, and they had a Suzuki JR50,
Okay.
I believe, one of theirs. So they took me riding up in Tierra Santa, and I remember that I would fake like I was sick, like I don't know if I was my stomach, I was nervous, right, all this stuff, but get out there, and so anyway, started doing that, and then my dad got pretty quickly after that, he got me a YZ60.
Okay. So were you not really loving it at first? Your dad kind of liked it more? Or was it? That's how it was.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah. But then, and then so we got that, and then my first race was at Verona Oaks, and then,
pretty quickly after
third, that. Yeah. Probably a couple months or so.
Okay.
Not.
That was pretty quick. I mean,
yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty quick to it, and then then we started racing there, and then took off from there. I mean, in my first year, I think we ended up going to Ponca City.
First
or second year, like 81, 82. And
okay.
And I remember we went back there with Kenny Dunlap. You remember Kenny Dunlap?
I remember the name.
But we went back there, we're in back, what you traveled in back there, trucks and stuff. But the first race, I looped out on the gate at Ponca.
Was it concrete?
It was concrete start. Looped out on the gate. My dad and Kenny come running from the first turn with sweep to the left, and pick me up, put me on my bike, and I come back and get second in that moto.
Really?
And Damon Bradshaw won the moto. And
so you were you ripped right away.
So then after that race, I got sponsored by Yamaha, and so the whole weekend I had the speed, but I would crash. I was just like, dude, off the bike. I remember running next to it, hit a dirt clod, boom, go down, get up. I just couldn't put it all together, right? But yeah, after that, pretty much started getting some help from Yamaha.
Well, and that
just kept rolling.
Was Ponca too when you went back there? I remember my first time was maybe 86, 87, and just the dirt like being so sticky and ruddy. I really hadn't ridden much dirt like that, you know?
Oh, yeah. I mean, and then rain comes in and gone and you know, all kinds of stuff. But yeah, like I'm used to hard blue groove dirt out there, but I don't know.
Yeah, and we were talking about this just prior to starting here, how, you know, I have your Loretta's results that don't start till 87. But we were talking about back then, prior to that, I guess, 85, 86, Ponca was really the bigger event. Mm-hmm. The Ponca City NMA Grand National Championships, that was it. If you wanted to win one thing, that was the one. And then as the NMA kind of stumbled, it just shifted to Loretta's, and that became the premier one. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, I remember going, and the Team Green tent would be massive, you know, big thumb, you know, and the whole deal.
Yep.
Yeah, it was crazy.
I think they still do that race, but it's a different.
It's like
someone else. I don't know, but it does happen, I believe.
It's not nearly what it used to be. So tell me a little bit about El Cajon and that Santee area. When you when you're really get into moto and start riding a lot, because it was like RJ, Dogger, Glover, Burner, Marty Smith, Mike Craig. I'm sure I'm leaving a bunch of people out.
The Cajon zone.
Dude, it was crazy. And when you say you went in the hills, was that Palm Avenue, or did you have other stuff further east?
No, in Santee, there were hills right by my house.
Oh, okay.
So, and Bader Monet they would call it Baders, right? He made the tracks or all the track, I don't know, but the one track I know was called Baders. So that was my stomping grounds, right? I'd come home after school, get on my bike, and I lived like right down the street. So I'd ride in the hills and go ride. Bader lived in Santee also, so that he had this place in the hills by him. I would go over to his house and ride with him. Obviously, they'd pick me up. Kenny Dunlap I'd go ride with. We had the Santee Sand Pits was right in there too, which was a good spot. Even it was still around even when I was pro. I would ride there to get ready for Southwick.
I had no idea.
But now it's softball baseball fields. But yeah, there was a group in Santee, but all around East County, let's call it, right? And then you had they were older than me, Rick Johnson, Brock, Ronnie, but really Mike Craig is, his dad taught me that. And then I would, I don't have a brother or anything, but he was like my brother. So we would ride every day. Eventually it got to the point where we'd ride. I have a bike at his house in Santa. Even when I lived in Santee, this was high school days now, but I would come home, I'd get on my road bike, pedal, and ride there, there's a huge hill, Mission Gorge to get there. Then I'd go up. So that was my road bike ride after school. Then I'd get on my bike and we'd go ride motos. And we would ride motos, and then we would do some messing around. There's a lot of road jumps there and from Fire Pit. I remember the cops were there one time. We were doing road jumps right next to them and stuff like that. But there was a good. I mean, the terrain was good.
It's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like I think back to Temecula when I moved here in end of 93, and these hills, all of South Temecula. Did you ever come up in that window and ride when it would rain?
I did, and actually on the SMP cover we jumped a house.
Yeah,
on one of the.
That was right by the 215 over here.
Yeah, right over there. Yeah. I didn't ride here a whole lot, but I did ride a little bit up here.
The dirt's incredible. It's like this just unbelievable DG that when it rains, there's nothing better, and it's all houses now. So that's why I always ask, like, hey, what was it like back then, and how's it look now? And you just answered it.
There's still
the old sand pits are all baseball.
Yeah,
fields.
but in Santee, I did hear. I mean, it's just hard to get in there now.
Yeah,
like it's hard to park, or where do you park? And it's everything's fenced off. But the tracks are still open land, but I mean, even back in our day, helicopters would land out there, and they'd be training, because I'd be out there by myself sometimes, and they do training landings and stuff like that. But then they would land and they would mess with us. One time they were chasing me back, and I was coming back towards the house, and I get on the street and I look up, and there's a parked car there, and I graze the mirror or something. It flicked me off my bike. I'm running next to it. I jump back on, and then come into the house, and we live with my grandma, and I'm like, shut the garage. And I mean, I think they'd come rolling up next after, you know, like you couldn't really get away, but you're giving it your all, you know?
Yeah.
But
just take them right to your house.
I know, right? But they were, you know, they were cool, and I don't think I really got a ticket. It was just warnings. But I mean, man, I was out there a lot.
Those were good days. So no siblings, you said?
No.
Did you play any other sports once you started riding, or was it just dirt bikes?
No, when I was really young, did baseball.
Okay.
But I think maybe t-ball like before that, and I just remember this. I threw it to first, and the guy ducked, and my dad was like,
this sucks.
We're going to something else, you know. So.
If you're team sports have their downsides.
Now with my, you know, like my daughter travel softball and did softball, and so now I'm learning the team sport, you know, politics or whatever, you know.
It sucks though, you know. Like
I like checkered flag. I like, you know, single sports where you know you control your destiny.
Yeah. Yeah, it's frustrating when your child is they're playing great, they're doing everything right, but the team isn't, and they lose, and it's like,
yeah,
you played awesome, but you know, how do you? It's different.
Yep,
different thing. So who were some of the guys you grew up then? And I mean, when I think back, like we talked about this again a little bit earlier, is your mini bike era to me was like one of the best of all time. It was such a big field, you know, like. And you wouldn't see everybody. This was before the internet. The world seemed a lot bigger, right? And we wouldn't get to see a guy like Ezra Lusk except for the World Mini and if you went to Ponca. Right? Or if you went to Minios. Rick Simmet, Lowell Thompson. You know, there's guys all over the country that freaking were fast. Swinkster and Greg Rand. And, I mean, you know, you know all the names, right? Like there were so many fast kids. And as I was prepping for this, like seeing some of these other guys, like I watched the American Sports Cavalcade. It was a Golden State round that they'd put on TV. And I think the 80 expert class was on a couple of different times. Mm-hmm. You got third, the one I watched yesterday, and Budman had won both motos. Who was second? Butch Smith. The Snowman.
Yep.
And anyway, you probably only know these names if you grew up in that era, but there were so many fast 80 kids. It was crazy.
There were. I mean, it was a thing. I thought 80 experts was like when they're on the track or when they're coming up, it's like the back then 125 pro races coming, right? It was a deep field where, I mean, you watch the fast 80 riders today, they're fast for sure. I like what they did on that the 80s, they did 80s 65s on the Super Motocross.
Yeah.
I think it was one of the speedways at the end of the year.
Yeah.
But they highlighted that the 85s raced, and you're like, that was like all the best right there, right?
Yeah.
Or at least who they invited. I don't know how they got there, but that's what the 80 expert class was like in my eyes all the time.
Yeah.
It was always, and especially in California, you have most competition here, back then at least, but it was a thing. Even your local races, you go to Paris or Glen Helen or Verona or anywhere you went, CMC especially, that was the Golden State Nationals. That was it's
a big deal.
That was a thing.
Yeah.
That was what we raced all year, you know?
Well, and it was evident by the teams that came out of that, you know, like, and I want to ask you a little bit more about this as we get to your 80 career, but like the DMC Kawasaki's versus the R&D Suzuki's. Mm-hmm. Back east they had Bars. Remember Bars competition? Mm-hmm. Like he did a lot of bikes for those guys. And so you had different engine builders, and then you had the Race of Champions, which we'll also talk about. There was events built specifically for 80 classes, you know, and I don't know. It just seemed like a really cool time. So who were kind of your main rivals here growing up? Like people you raced against all the time? Was it Joel and like Budman?
Buddy, Joel Albrecht, Butch Smith.
I thought he was from Idaho or something.
But he was always here.
Yeah.
I think he moved. I think he lived in. He may have been from there, but I think he lived in like Hesperia or somewhere in like most of the time. I mean, that was another track we go 395.
Oh yeah.
Right
Sunrise.
there. Yeah, Sunrise. Yeah. A lot of knock myself out there. Dana Wiggins.
Dana Wiggins
in there. You know, all the Richie Canyon guys. Like I would go up and ride with them a little bit. What a cool spot that was. You know, Joel living there, Joel and Jeremy living there, just be able to ride. And but yeah, I mean, then there was some others like Jeff Dement. He was in there.
A lot of guys.
Yeah.
What about, I'm going to go back a little bit, Jeff Grafton. Were you buddies with him?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't really know him, but when he passed away, it was kind of it was a big deal. Everybody ran like the JG sticker on their helmet, and
yeah, I was really good friends with Jeff.
Were you?
Yeah. So I was there at the river that weekend, and I almost was in the truck. Actually, that's weird. I didn't know you bring that up. They asked if I wanted to go. We were camping down here there's that Martinez, we call it out there, and you have Fishers and then Martinez, and they went up to see someone up there, and one of our friends, Steve Haxton, was driving, and Mike Carter and Jeff jumped in, but anyway, I didn't go. And anyway, then we heard the news that night. They were coming back down right there, kind of really close to our camp where that happened.
And the truck just rolled, right?
Yeah. Yep. And got off into the gravel a little bit, came back, caught, and rolled, and yeah.
There was a lot of tragedy. Did you know that Kyle Fleming, Bruce Bunch, Rick Hemme, did you know those guys too?
Yeah. I was looking through some photos, I wasn't for sure, but I mean, Kyle Fleming used to race for DG on bicycles. And I think there was a photo with us together at one of the tracks.
You're kidding.
He was a good bicycle rider. But yeah, I was at Ponca that year too, and we were going, and then when we were going afterwards to the, I think it was Kyle Fleming, Bruce Bunch, and Rick Hemme, we're in the car with Duke, and then they got, hit by a train on the way to the awards ceremony. So, and
wasn't like Larry Brooks was supposed to be riding with them, and maybe Sean Kalos or someone else, and then they got pulled out last.
Probably, I mean, Larry rode Suzuki too, R&D then too, so that wouldn't surprise me if they were in there. And it's weird how when you start thinking of how close, scenarios and stuff like that. So
sketchy. What riders so obviously probably going to say Mike Craig here, but when you were kind of getting rolling there, what pro riders were you looking up to? Or did you really even,
I didn't. I didn't really. I was lucky enough to be around them. I didn't really look up to them because I would ride with them.
Yeah, right.
Not that you can't look up to them, but I mean, I guess I obviously respected them all. I mean, I was young,
Yeah.
If we use the word respect and all that stuff, but they were more like friends and stuff like that. Especially, because Mike was a little older than me, or is a little older than me, and then we'd ride. Ronnie lived by there, and we'd go play highball at his house and stuff like that, whether he's there or not. And then, but anyway, we'd ride around, and Rick Johnson, I spent a little bit of time with him. Brock Glover, Jeff Grafton lived across the street from Brock Glover. So when I would go stay at Jeff's house, and we would go ride, and that's another set of hills out by out in El Cajon, deeper down in El Cajon, almost to Hamul. And we would go ride, and then Brock would be there sometimes, but he was racing, doing pro at that time. But so it's just like the environment. But yeah, they're all great riders to be around it, and I'm sure it helped me. You ride with these guys in these rough, you're out there on a 65 or 85 or whatever, you're hammering along,
Yeah, what a cool opportunity to be able to watch the very best.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you had a question, you just ask them, or just see them do things and go, all right.
Well, and they push you, right? Like, oh, Tommy, you can clear this road jump or whatever. Or sometimes they're down there ready to catch you if you don't make it, like especially at Palm Avenue.
Why are you down here ready to catch me if I can make it?
Well, Palm Avenue, you don't know till you try it.
Yeah.
With a lot of the cliff jumps and stuff like that. So definitely a lot of days, mostly with Mike, probably at down at Palm Avenue. But yeah, I'd be there to try to help him if we needed to. We're trying to find something.
That place was gnarly.
It was very gnarly.
That was one place I went, and I did a couple JT photo shoots out there, and man, Mike Chamberlain was showing us stuff, and I think he had ridden with Craig, so he was showing us the stuff he had shown him, and I'm just like, some of it, I'm like,
it's almost like you need a tour guide there, because it's so, you got to know what is possible.
Yeah.
Or what's what. You might see a line going, what is that doing? Or
Yeah.
what do you do? How do you hit that? Or why would you hit that?
Yeah. And that's all gone now too, yeah, Palm?
Yeah, it's mostly houses. I think there's a small piece left up there, but obviously probably as soon as you unload the bike,
that was an iconic spot.
It was. I mean, and then not only the cliff jumps and what it's famous for, the tracks were rough.
There's video you can, if you Google, just go to YouTube and type in Rick Johnson at Palm Avenue. There's videos of him testing out there with Factory Honda, and man, just like cement this dirt. And
your tires would be gone.
Yeah.
I mean, we'd all be like, remember Ryan Hughes? He's bulldog. He'd be out there just hammering 35-minute motos. We're all on the track. Me, Mike, just everybody who's getting ready for outdoor nationals and stuff like that. So I always had the people to gauge off of. Just couldn't quite get to that level.
Well, you were as a kid, like, I don't know, you were as good as anybody, man. It was fun to watch. So tell me about this Yamaha 60 ride. Was it factory equipment and stuff, or just they gave you bikes, parts?
Parts. I don't think I don't know what modifications happen on a modified bike versus stock. I was just riding. But
Dad was taking care of that, or who was building them?
Man, I
don't even remember.
I know there was. I can't think it. I don't want to. Back then, I don't know that there was a lot going on the 65 form on modified. I guess, and I did have a modified though.
I know Dave Miller built some 60 stuff, like for Ezra. We were talking about that Old World mini track, and we'll get into your deal with Budman. But do you remember before that tight right-hander, there was a drop and then like a roller, and the pro guys were doubling that.
Oh, out of the left.
Yeah. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Ezra was doing that on a 60, and his dad's out there screaming for him to do it. And Dave Miller's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. He had a huge lead, and he's jumping this massive double on a 60.
For no reason. Because
no reason. But his dad was saying, jump it, boy. Like.
That's exactly what he'd say.
That was it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But, yeah, obviously I had good bikes, though, for sure, and backing. But
someone had left a comment about your Yamaha 60, and I was like, I don't even really remember those days. That was probably before I had come out here, but they said, man, that thing sounded so nasty. It didn't sound anything like mine, and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, all right, I'll ask him. So you ride the 60. You go, how long did you ride for Yamaha then? A couple years after that? Like, what year was that at Ponca when you went back and looped out and then got second?
81.
Okay.
I don't know. Sorry if I get dates wrong.
Ish. No, that's fine.
But 81, 82.
Okay.
In there, I think. 83. I was still on Yamahas.
Okay.
And then I went to then I went to Honda, and and actually one of my big rivals, Jimmy Button.
Okay.
On Honda 60s, Golden State Nationals, me and him would be battling like crazy out there.
Okay.
On Honda 60s, I remember.
So that would have been 83, 4?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, because 84, 5, because 3, 4, 5, or maybe it was 4 and 5. Because then I was riding 80s. Also, we're riding both classes.
Okay.
Stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, Jimmy was fast. Did he have a monkey on the back of his pants?
Yep. I was in second a lot behind him, We had some good battles, man. I remember, yeah.
And that guy would just hold his bike wide open all the time, like in the air. Blah, thing is just screaming.
I remember like tracks like Huron and stuff like. There were some big jumps we were doing on those things.
Yeah,
scary stuff.
So when did you get the Team Green ride then? What year would that have been?
Hondas.
And with the Honda thing, did you have support then? Were they giving you bikes and parts too? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty much the whole amateur career through whoever I rode for brand wise. I was getting help.
Okay.
I think I went to Suzuki for a stint in between Kawasaki, and then went to Team Green, and then that was,
Was that?
I was on Yamahas. Jeez,
you
dude.
really made you
all over the place. Hondas, then Yamaha, Suzuki. I don't know. I rode them all. Yeah. I know that, but Cowie is where it really.
That was kind of the.
I started. Coming into my own or whatever, getting older in the age group. I mean, I was small, but getting stronger and stuff like that where I, started to turn 80 expert, and that's where it started happening.
So what year do you think that was then? About 88? 7?
Yeah, 87, 88, 89 was 80 expert.
Okay.
On Cowie's.
And were you winning races at Mammoth, at World Mini and all that? Okay.
88, 89, yeah. Those were the big years where, then it was battling with, Buddy and and Joel and all the guys out there.
And so there was a guy, Scott Brown, too. You remember that name?
Yeah. He was a little older than me, but yeah, I was like intermediate when he was expert. Because you had that whole Scott Brown, Todd Campbell. Is that even before him? But anyway, that kind of group ahead of us too. That was that same way of like these, those
fast
guys,
kids,
fast that were ripping. So,
yeah. In fact, I want to say back in that era, there was a magazine, like it was like Mini Cross Action or something like that. It was just mini bikes. Do you remember that?
Mm-mm.
I've seen covers of it.
Eddie Hicks, he was
Eddie
a guy.
Hicks.
He was a guy like Brown's era. Eddie
Mouse
Hicks,
McCoy.
Mouse McCoy. Yep. Simmet.
Rick Simmet.
Rick Simmet.
Yeah. Rick Simmet was fast.
Yeah.
He was from, I want to say, Oregon or Washington, because when I lived in Montana, we'd go over and race over there, and he just would blow my mind.
But those guys were like, I guess, like how you were one intermediate. That I was below them that
year
way.
or two behind them.
Yeah. So.
Okay, so let's talk about that window. And for me, my first kind of amateur national experiences was World Mini. It was just easy to get to. And I remember coming out, I think it was 85 was the first year I went, but then I went 87, 8, 9. And I remember a couple of things about Vegas. One of them was a fight you got into, or your parent, I thought it was your dad's, with you and Budman. And tell us that story. This was during the Race of Champions.
Mm-hmm.
So for folks that don't know, Kawasaki would bring out, was it like 20 identical bikes or 15 or what was it? However many.
Yeah.
And you would get assigned a bike and you do 3 motos, and every moto you'd switch bikes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And for this race, and like it could never happen now. Like it's crazy to me that Yamaha, Honda, Suzuki, they were like, all right, yeah, go ahead and do this event on a Kawasaki. Like it's crazy.
Yeah, everybody. Yeah, you're wearing. Buddy was in Suzuki gear, and I mean, I rode for Cowie, so that.
Yeah. Just a crazy thing, but it was really cool to see all the best guys on even equipment, bone stock bikes.
Stock, totally suspension. I mean, just stock bike.
Yeah, and see him battle it out. And so, tell us this thing that happened with Budman, because it's a funny story.
Yeah, I mean, 80s expert was life, right? So at the time, it's everything to us. But like I said, me and Buddy, we were at Golden State Nationals, and he would mostly get the best of me most of the time, right?
Buddy was
even if I was leading, he could always he could get by me. Not all, I mean, I'd get him sometimes, but then once I was behind him, I could stick him. And I think I don't know. I saw Buddy at Fox Raceway, and we were talking and stuff like that. And but yeah, I could stick him, but he could get me. So anyway, that weekend at World Mini, I was getting the best of him. I think I won two titles and stuff like that. So I don't know if there was built up frustration or whatever. But we were in the race champions. I think I won the first moto. And then it was like in those races is myself, Buddy, and Joel were the kind of the top 3 in there. I think Jeff DeMent was in there a little bit too. But second moto, we came into that right-hander, and then there's a left and tabletop finish. There's a hairpin right, and I don't know. It came inside and took me out. I don't know if it was on purpose or what, but anyway, it took me out, and my bars broke down, so I couldn't finish that race. But we were upset, I guess, So third moto comes around, and I didn't even need to ride the third moto. I'm out of it at this point.
Yeah.
But so I rode it. And Joel, I think, got the whole shot. Buddy was in second. I was in third. And the track had these like step things where you could hit the bottom and get all the way over the top sometimes if you hit it right, or you go and then jump off again.
Yeah.
And I was able to jump the whole thing and get next to him. I was in third, and then I was cutting in, and I could have probably made the pass on Buddy clean, but I came up, hit him, and then and he didn't even go down. I'm like, man. Then boom, came in because those they had big sweeping corners, right? You're either inside trying to mess with it, or you're outside just sweeping, just riding the rails of the track, right? Yeah. Then we hit again. We both go down now. And then scramble to get up, it's just ingrained in you. You go down, you get up. As long as you're not hurt, get up as fast as you can. Even, like I said, I had no skin in the game really at that point for an overall. But then get up, and I think the bike roosted him a little bit. I mean, that was just taking off.
I think the bike roosted him.
It just like the way the track was, like it wasn't like, oh, I'm going to it wasn't thinking consciously about it. It just happened. But I don't know. He was pissed. So I'm circling the track, still riding, and then that one corner, dude, that same corner before they finish, I see he was just sitting there on the bike waiting, and so I come in and I'm like, is he gonna launch the bike? So I just like drop the bike, and we just start fighting right there, start rolling around. I mean, whatever. Yeah. It's not like throwing blows, but rolling around and stuff like that. So putting on a show for the crowd, pretty much.
I remember being there. I don't remember the specifics, and I thought I heard that the parents, both your dads were fighting too.
After that, there was a skirmish in the in the pits, I believe. But I was like, hey, it's between me and Buddy. Like, let us handle it. But dads, they get
dads aren't going to do that. They're jumping in.
Yeah,
it was a lot of, like you said, it was like 80 expert racing, and maybe it's still this way. I'm not super close to amateur racing anymore, but. It was like, it was all that mattered, right? Yeah. And there was constantly people cheating and complaining. And I remember maybe it was that same year or in that same window, Butch Smith's dad was using hairspray on the tire. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Spinning his tire on the concrete and spraying it with hairspray, which I'm like, that's smart,
like, right?
Really tacks up the tire.
And then they would put tape around the can so no one knew what they were spraying.
Oh, right.
Like, yeah, I remember that type of stuff.
And then they got, somebody protested and it got DQ'd. Anyway, it was a lot of drama back then.
Yeah. Actually, I saw a couple kids in one of the Moto for Kids races that we were at a couple months ago. Fast 80 riders, and they were lined up and they were having a rivalry. And they come out and they're doing the similar stuff. And I'm like, guys, it's all good. It's not worth it, man. Just try to, but this is older me talking while they're living the moment. And so it is the world to the kids that are in that moment, which it should be.
But what would you tell them? Would you say, hey, like, this seems like it's all that matters right now, but it doesn't matter. Well, so race clean, race hard, but race clean. Right. Like, I don't know. What would you tell them?
That's exactly what I tell them, because actually there were two, and then Cole and I were starting, or Cole was starting here. And I'm like, I see him. Someone brought it out and they're sitting there and the dads are, same type of deal dude, at the gate. And I'm like, Cole, let's move over a couple spots. Like, there was gates open. Well, we'll move over here. And someone made a comment like, he knows what's up. Like, I'm all, yeah, man, I remember those days. But yeah, I would say, what, guys, it's get out there, ride aggressively, race each other, but don't do stupid stuff. It's not worth it. Cause if you guys get hurt, you got to deal with that. You got to injure, all that type of stuff. Yeah. But,
what about the rivalry between like Team Green and Suzuki? Because I feel like there was almost that on top of everything else. Like I said, the DMC Cowies versus the R&D Suzukis. And maybe it was just because those two teams seemed to have, especially late 80s, they had the best riders.
Right.
Was there any kind of battle that you remember there? Or because you said you rode Suzuki for a minute, but then went to Team Green.
Yeah, and when I rode Suzuki, I wasn't R&D. So R&D really had, in my day, Buddy, and I think Dana Wiggins maybe on there a little bit, but Buddy was, he's winning all the time. So, but yeah, DMC. I remember one of my bikes. I think the one in the photo doesn't, but one had like an orange seat. He was known for the green with the orange seats. Yeah. And so Joel Albrecht had DMC bikes and stuff like that. I remember he built a trick one for Mouse McCoy for Ponca, Eddie Hicks, those guys.
A Yamaha, right?
Yeah.
He built a Yamaha.
Yeah.
It's up at TLD.
It's
displayed up there.
Yeah,
it's beautiful, like handmade swing arm and tank.
Yeah, it's like all
disc brakes.
Yeah, before they had them. Yep. So he was, he made him run good, So, in my amateur days it was DMC, and then after that, pretty much pro circuit. Yeah. Is the rest of my amateur career was with them, I believe. So, and obviously they make bikes rip, right?
Oh yeah.
And suspension and stuff like that. So, but yeah, I don't know. It was like we were just riding and, the bikes, but those were the two guys.
Okay, so you just brought up another like rivalry. Dement and Lusk both got fired from Team Green for fighting. Do you remember this?
Mm-mm.
Because they might have been a little bit younger than you, because they were
in the expert class, but they were coming in more while we were kind of going out.
They both rode for Team Green and both got fired for fighting, and then they both got picked up by Suzuki. And Dean did both of their bikes as well.
so you're not. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It was like you were either on one or the other.
Yeah,
that was interesting. Okay, so what about that race at Carlsbad? You remember much from that? Was there extra pressure? No one was on TV like that. That was a huge deal. Like, that shit doesn't even happen today. You don't see mini bike racing on TV.
No, not. I mean, there wasn't extra pressure for me because it was on TV. That was the cameras weren't.
Yeah,
I don't know. It wasn't a big thing.
Didn't pay attention.
I think it was a Golden State.
Golden State, right? Yeah.
So, yeah, it was just a normal Golden State. I think I had No, I was in one of my things while I was looking at stuff. There was a thing. I'm leading at the top of the highway. Is that what it's called? Top of there, and I'm in lead. Then Joel, and then Buddy, and Buddy. It said Buddy ended up winning the race because he and I got third or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a photo that I saw from that one on Cowie's. The one before the other episode, I was on a Yamaha. Still.
Okay.
So that was the earlier one. The other one was later.
I think the other one, like Gaddis and Button, were up there.
Yeah, Jimmy Gaddis.
Jimmy Gaddis.
Yeah.
He was fast.
Yep.
Suzuki R&D guy.
Yep. Right? Yep. Forgot about him.
Yeah. So tell me about then your. So you go to. Let's look at your Loretta's here. I got your Loretta's results here. So you started going there in '87. That was your first year. Got a fourth, 84 modified or 85 modified, 14 to 15. Got fourths, third, seconds. You didn't win there till '91, but you were always right in the mix. Mm-hmm. And I was looking up, and I look up at the results, and it's like all of those guys. You had so many fast kids you were racing against. What was that transition like to the big bike for you?
What year was that? The first big bike one there would have been, so Ponca City was right before that, right?
89, yeah.
And then I think I did well at Ponca. I think I have 14 titles or something, but maybe all together. But did well there. And then I remember Joel and I went down. They just have a little jetting area or test. You go warm up. So they had our bikes in those mules or 125s, and then we went down there, and that was our warm up for. I mean, we rode them before, but our warm up, that was our last ride on 80s. Now then we went to Loretta's and rode the 125B class.
Oh, really?
So yeah,
switched that week in between.
Yeah, that was it. We did circles on that little thing and warm up, and then obviously get to the Loretta's and then practice and whatnot. But just went to the next one and rode 125s.
And so, how was that? Did you like the big bike at that point?
It was. I mean, I did not like it. It was fun. It's just changing. It was bigger. And stuff like that. I know nowadays you ride a 125, and I mean, shoot, I still have a 250 two-stroke Yamaha. I feel like I ride it like a 80. Yeah. If I'm getting after it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they were the big bikes back in the day, and yeah, you could definitely feel that difference. There were give and takes. Obviously, you have better suspension and more power and stuff like that. But then it's just like today, riding a 250 up to a 450, you have more to handle.
Yeah.
So and then you go to Loretta's and you have the humidity and the heat and all the stuff to deal with, and the track's rough, and so did okay though. I think you
got second,
first
one, and then a fourth in stock.
Yeah. So I was hanging in there.
Right in the mix. So this is what I thought was interesting, though, because then, was it 90 or 91, you raced some pro stuff, too. You did, like, some Supercross, but then also went to Loretta's. So you must have been doing pro sport?
What does it say? What was the class? Isn't it stock? I don't think they had sport back then.
They didn't, actually. You're right. 125A. So I guess if you were 125A. But I think
maybe you had to read both stock classes? Maybe it was stock classes and modified?
It was all modified, so maybe that's the deal.
Huh. Yeah, I looked at like when you see Loretta, there's a lot of different classes now.
A lot. Yeah, it's changed a lot.
So,
yeah. But you won your title at Loretta's in 91 and started racing pro that year as well. And then you went back to Loretta's in 92. So that's why I was like, that's interesting. And your first Supercross
And on the 92 one, I remember the last race of Loretta's. I know some guys used to do that, and I did it with Brian Roth. We did a caravan with him in box vans. So you go from Loretta's to Millville.
Yeah.
And that was, I guess, my first national, yeah.
How did that
go?
I
always thought Gainesville in my mind was, but Millville was. So it went pretty well. I mean, I crashed. I think I was running like 15th, 10th, 15th. But that's, come to find out what I did later or the rest of my career in outdoors, that was pretty decent.
Yeah.
So, but I remember I was in there. Grayson Goodman crashed in those rollers, and then I hit him and went over the bars. I get back up and I go and I come back. So I had some adversity, some crashes out there, but I ended up, I think around 15th-ish or something like that. So that was pretty decent.
It's a good race. And it's funny too, looking through your results. It's like I don't see a ton of nationals.
I rode them.
But like that Millville race, it's not on here. It shows your first pro result is 91.
Are these?
This is off the vault. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. Anyway.
I was just talking because some of our people from Pro Energy went to Hangtown this weekend because they live up, we have the Sacramento area and they help. I think one of my best nationals was Hangtown.
Oh, was that right?
It was I think I went like 10, 15. I was in 8th on the last lap, and Sheik got me, and someone else.
Sheiky.
Man.
Well, so the following year, 91, you did your first Supercross.
Mm-hmm.
What do you remember from that? Because I tell people, I say this all the time, and I don't know.
I do have a story from that.
People are probably getting sick of hearing it, but like there was no Supercross tracks.
Oh, no.
I mean.
Nothing for me to practice on.
Okay.
There were factory tracks, right?
Yeah.
The Cowie tracks, been there forever, but the other manufacturers didn't even. Cowie was the first one that I knew of that had a track, but
and you didn't just because you were on a Cowie or even Cowie support didn't mean you were going there. Like that was factory.
They may have.
Only.
I think they let me ride it. I don't know if they let me ride it before that, but they did let me ride the track a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, there wasn't a lot of nothing like today. Nothing like
so take me through your
building the track of that week.
Right,
at my house.
right. Changing it every couple of weeks. Take me through your first Supercross. How'd that go?
That went pretty well. I think I got 7th or
it says 11th.
11th. Okay, yeah. I was in 7th. No, I don't know. But I remember my takeaway from that is my heat race. I think I did pretty good. Had a pretty good start, and I'm cruising, and I'm going like 4th or something. Phil Lawrence comes in. The bull berm. You're there outside, or there wasn't, and just wham, punts me, and I go down pretty hard. I got back up and got 9th, so I qualified out of the heat. But that was my welcome to the big leagues there.
Was Phil?
I mean, not on.
Was he older than you?
Yeah, Phil's I don't know, a year. I think a year or two older.
How old are you?
51.
Yeah, I think he's 52 or 53, so that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, he was in the class, but I came in pretty good. I think I got. Where's 7th in my head? Did I get 7th overall in the series?
You got 7th in Vegas, 7th at LA.
All right,
so maybe one of those two.
I think I got
that same
anyway.
year.
Yeah, I was in, but I think I got 7th in the series or something.
Oh, yeah.
And then the next year I got 4th in the series on NCY.
Okay. What? But see, I don't have any nationals. Did you race nationals that summer?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. They didn't pop up.
Well, maybe my results weren't that good.
Well,
I did get tops 20. Yeah,
you would have been there. That's what's weird.
But yeah.
So you were Team Green still through that, right?
Yes. The first year, yes. And then the next year was NCY.
Okay. So
or 92 was NCY.
2 was NCY?
I believe.
I thought it still shows you on a Cowie in 92.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, it shows you on a Yamaha in 93, so that would have been NCY.
Then.
So 92, you were still Team Green for the year. And that's why I said I think you went back and raced Loretta's again that year. So in 91, right? And 92. So they probably had you doing both. Because I remember Cowie would do that. They'd say, yeah, we'll give you bikes, but we want you to do Loretta's.
Yeah, maybe. I don't remember that one for sure.
Anyway, and you finished 3rd in Loretta's that year. Your last year there. So talk about then that season of 92. You're getting a lot of top 10s, Gatorback. It does show Gatorback here in 92. like Spring Creek. Like I literally only have 4 nationals or something. It's so weird.
Gatorback. So I'm circulating the track in, I don't know, 18th or so, and I'm giving it my all, right? And my dad, I just remember, he puts on the pit board, pussy. You're coming out of that sweeper, you're going to hit him. What?
Pussy? Really?
Hands are, national stuff.
Yeah.
Hands are hurting, all that. But, I mean, long story short, I guess he's right?
Well, nationals were they were hard. Like, I think people don't understand.
I bent my subframe at Southwick when I was riding NCY. I didn't even crash in the moto. I came in, I'm curled up in my box fan, my back is so sore, and my subframe's bent from just hitting me. Just trying to get through the bumps. Yeah, just getting through the track. So
yeah, the pace is so gnarly, and it's everything you've got for a long time.
Yeah.
And taking chances. I mean, I just remember feeling like I might as well just close my eyes. Like I am just, you know what I mean? I don't know. Some people, it comes easier to them. Nationals were hard for me.
Yeah.
Were you more Supercross kind of guy?
Yeah. Nationals were tough for me too. I had the, like, committing to the, you're going whatever, 4th, 5th wide open and hitting, there's 20 ruts, right? And committing to that rut. I mean, you get your lines, maybe 1, 2, 3 lines, but when you got to pass somebody or you have lappers or this or whatever the case is, and you got to venture off that comfortable line, keeping that thing pinned still, that's where guys like Carmichael and, all the greats in there, they just they just do it.
Yeah.
Right. Where I would second guess a little bit sometimes, and that just slows you down, do
you think it was mud and ruts? Like, would you say that was your weakness? Because, like, for me, I never rode the mud. Well, and it's my own fault, because if we went to a track and it was overwatered, I'd be like, I'll wait till it comes in. I always did that.
Yep.
And I kick myself because I'm like, man, go out there when it's muddy and get good at riding in the sloppy, slippery stuff, because it's going to be that way.
Yeah, I think I did okay in mud conditions typically, except for, I don't know, as you're short, it's tough.
Yeah.
But I usually did okay. I mean, had good balance and stuff like that. So, but this tracks are just so much. The dirt's different. The bumps just are different than California.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
When you were at Team Green, was your dad your mechanic that whole time?
Yes.
Okay. And then so how did the NCY
I didn't get a mechanic until I was NCY.
And it was Jeremy Albrecht, right?
First it was a friend of mine, Kevin Otto, and then Jeremy.
Okay.
Yes.
So tell me how that ride came to be. Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, so I got set, I believe, around, pretty good in the year before on the Kawasaki and the overall, and I had a couple of top 10s in there. So picked up a ride with NCY, and that was their factory 125 team. I think it was myself, Tyson Volan on there.
Okay.
In 92.
Okay.
And then the next year was myself, Mike Metzger, and Donald Upton.
Yeah.
Then now I'm going to the Supercross tracks every Tuesday, Thursday, testing and stuff like that.
Was that Dianza still, or was it?
No, it was
a new one.
It was the one just up from
from
Cali track. Yeah. They're all up in there now. I'd go up there, and then you start mixing. You got Doug Dubach and all the other 250 factory rider. Mike Craig was there then too. So now you're practicing with all these guys, and so things were going good, and I did good that year. I had a couple, like Anaheim. I got 4th, close to a 3rd. My best almost podium was San Diego. I was right behind Lance Smale, and I just couldn't get him. And then Phil Lawrence came. Dang Phil again here.
Phil?
Yeah. Came and passed us both. And then I got by Lance, so he got 3rd and I got 4th. And I'm like, man, I just couldn't but I had the speed, but couldn't make the move.
Yeah.
But that was good. Had a couple good heat. Actually, San Diego, too. I was leading the heat till like the second to last turn on the last lap and slid out. Just little mistakes like that.
Were those bikes pretty good? Like, was that
No, they were really good, and they would have, like, they were fast. They were good bikes. I think Nolene did our suspension. But I never really had a factory suspension. I guess I hear like Ronnie talk about factory, like his 86 Honda in fact, like, so I don't know that I've ever experienced suspension like that or rode anything like that. But to me, that was a really good bike. I had no excuses, nothing bike wise. It was, and I did well. I got 4th in the series, but, had opportunity to get in there. That was when Jimmy Gaddis, I think Jimmy Gaddis won 93 that year.
Gaddis and Phil were battling for that title.
Yeah. And then I think Pashon came over or someone came. Some French guy came over.
He won San Diego that year.
Yeah.
I think.
So he came in there in the mix. So then the next year, now this is the year that I got high hopes. We all got, maybe championship or getting in there, podium, stuff like that. And the first race, it was at one of the Texas spots, either Dallas or Houston. And there was 2 triples on the track, and, always on a 125, you're like, yeah, clicking third right before the triple. And I tried a triple that I don't know why I tried it. So no one's done it yet. And I'm like, I just felt it. There's like, there has like a jump and then like a bump and you get over it. And anyway, came up short on that triple. I didn't crash, but I just, boom, compacted hard, pulled off, put my foot on the hay bale. And I broke my left ankle and jacked my right ankle up, bit through my lip, like all kinds of stuff. So they lift me off my bike, stretcher, and then I'm in the hospital that night, and all the emotions start coming through, and because when your season's done, right? Your year's done, and that was everything you've been working for. So came back from that halfway through the year, and you're not in top 10 in points, so you got to ride the day qualifiers at that time. And I whole shotted the day qualifier, and I remember a guy came inside and hit my leg up against the frame right there, and the bone down there that sticks out cracked that, like, because I came around to the whoops and I couldn't put pressure on it, and so I'm like rode through the whoops, got off the track, and then ended up going back and ended up needing 2 screws in that. So went to Dr. Chow. I know a lot of us know that. Dr. Miller, Dr. Chow.
Yep.
But so that was the injuries that kind of derailed my heyday. So
you were kind of coming into your own right there, and
yeah, that was the best shape I was in, the best confidence I had. Bikes, that's when it's clicking, right? And then you have that untimely injury.
Isn't it crazy that how quickly, like, all of the years of committing to this sport and building and you're one of the best, and then it can go away just like that, like you just, that injury kind of derails you a little bit, and then your opportunities aren't there, and then
there it is.
It's crazy.
That's the rest of the racing career right there.
I mean, but it's so common. Or a guy gets into drugs, or a guy,
Well, that's back to my son riding and stuff, and all, like, hey, let's take it with a grain of salt, do your best, but we're not relying on this. We're doing school, we're doing other things like that. Like, if it works out, cool, but by no means nothing's expected at all.
So, and you'd be a good person to ask this, because you had a great racing career. Like, you were factory guy, you were fighting for podiums, but I think if someone were to, when you were getting off mini bikes or even going to your first pro race, they would be like, hey, how's Tommy Clowers' career going to be? They'd be like, oh, he's going to be one of the guys. Mm-hmm. Right? And I mean, the list of people you could say it about is pretty long, whether they derailed it themselves, like Stroop or Izzy, or just injuries, or just
didn't click. And that goes back
Budnet. Look at Budnet. I mean, he went, I guess, arena cross really made a name for himself, but he was supposed to be the next guy.
But like that's where mini bikes, that's my message is, have fun here, but it doesn't mean anything until you get on a big bike, until you transition to that big bike. And do you take that speed to the big bike? That's where you make your money, right? That's where it comes. And there's some guys like that weren't good on the minis, and then they get on the big bikes and excel, right? There's some guys like you have, McGrath. He didn't even, start riding until he's 15?
Yeah.
Right? And so then he comes in the mix and throws at it. There's no right or wrong way about it, but
I would say it isn't even just to big bikes, because there's guys that make that transition well, but when they try to make the transition to pro racing, they can't. It just doesn't click. It doesn't happen. I mean, it's that. Well,
that was kind of, I guess, more. Yeah, I did great in the amateur stuff still, But then the pro is you get the longer moto, you get the rougher track, you get they water it in practice, right? It's muddy in practice. It has so many lines. They're different tracks than amateur tracks.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, well, I mean, do you don't? Yeah, you do.
Well, and you know, I think they're trying to do better, like having the combine events and having Supercross futures. Like they're trying to do better. I just think, even looking at any of the stuff the mini kids are getting to do or these amateurs are getting to do, I thought, gosh, if we would have had that opportunity, how much better prepared would we have been?
That would,
because we literally just got dropped into the deep end.
Yep.
Hey, I know you've never been on a Supercross track before, but here you go. Oh, P.S. the triples are going to be like this.
And they were more peaked back then.
Oh my god.
The whoops, I remember not even being able to ride through the whoops in practice. Like all of us are the best in the business at the time. We're just like dink, 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 dink. Like,
oh yeah.
Crazy.
You'd have to ride out off the track and go around them.
And everything seemed like it was Supercross wise was like just really hard and blue groove.
Yeah.
Like tracks, you know. But yeah, and we're on 125 or we in 250, you know, harder to get through skimming, you know. I was never the best at skimming. Whoops and stuff. Height was one of the things too.
It's challenging.
I can't say height, I mean, because Carmichael, but for me, I just wasn't, I don't know. It was tough to do for me.
Yeah, they were tough. I mean, trust me, I had those same issues. Okay, so that year was basically a wash, 94. I mean, yeah, you did only do 5 races, you know, so
yep,
that's definitely not a great year. Okay, so then what happened the following season, 95? And you brought in a really cool photo that I think was an MXA. It looks like that font, but it's a picture that was in MXA of you and I together somewhere at a Supercross. It's cool.
Yep.
Take me through that season. And you were just privateer Honda that year?
Yeah, so there's actually there's a stint in there that I quit racing. And
really?
After those injuries, what was, or maybe I started doing it was right in the 95, 96 time. I ended up getting hurt at Glen Helen and tore my rotator cuff. Passed a guy down the big downhill. And then in practice and then you go over a jump and then you would make a left.
Okay.
And so I pass him and you're going, and then and like this, but he fell back on the throttle or something and came off the jump and then just took us both out. I think he got hurt pretty bad too. But then tore my rotator cuff and then just started, you know, I'm just kind of healing from that, whatever. I start I don't know. You know, once you're hurt, you're like, oh, and then it starts coming back around, like you're gonna start training and riding again. But I don't know. It was, you know, I was getting older and stuff like that too, and I was just like, I don't know. So Jeff Grafton, his dad Harold Grafton, owns cement cutting, and so I started working there at cement cutting for a stint. Sold my bikes and stuff, and then came back. You know, you go down and showing up and there isn't work or this or that, you know, just because of jobs and whatnot. So I ended up borrowing a bike back that I sold, 250 Honda, and went down and did this 3-round Supercross. I don't know if you did that.
Mexico.
In Mexico.
Oh, yeah, I did do them.
Guatemala.
Monterey,
yep.
Yeah, I have a picture. I'll have to show you.
Yeah.
Got a couple from that.
So I went back and did
with
those.
a big Tecate can in the back. Right?
Yeah. And ended up doing pretty well. I think I got third at one of them. And just, you know, and I got back into riding after that. But before that,
didn't they take a bus? Maybe it was the next year.
No, we took to Puerto Vallarta.
Yeah.
And we went through Tequila, a town called Tequila.
I didn't do that bus ride. I flew home. I had something at home. I only did the 2 rounds, Guadalajara and Monterey. And then from one of those, you guys took the bus.
Yeah.
And I flew home. But I heard that bus ride was...
There may have been a barrel of green tequila bought and on the bus.
I heard it was pretty wild.
But yeah. So there was a lot of, it was a good time.
Were you doing a lot of international events? Like, I look back and you know, you hear about guys and the money they were making in the late 80s, early 90s going to Europe, like crazy money. Mm-hmm. And then of course, as soon as I turned pro, which was 93, and I wasn't great in 93, 94, I got a little better. But by the time I was like, could get paid to go to Europe, it's like the money just fell off. They're like, we got European riders that are good now. We don't need to pay you guys this much. Like, I missed the gravy train. Did you ever get paid any really big money to go over?
I wouldn't say I wasn't big because I wasn't a, Mike Craig and Larry Ward. Larry Ward always did great back there.
Yeah.
Larry Brooks. So they, because of Mike, I got linked up with Catherine.
Yep.
She was a promoter over.
She was my agent.
Okay, same. So she'd fax you the location, right? So I started going with them over there and doing some races. But even before that, when I was 18, I got invited to South Africa for a race that they did at Sun City.
Sun City, yeah.
And I went there with
Huffman?
Mike, Big Gun.
Oh, Mike Young.
Mike Young. So I went there with Mike Young the first year, I think the second year too. So anyway, I did it 2 years and did well there. And that Greg Albertine was there racing him. So I think I was leading it and crashed, and Albertine was behind me and he won. Anyway, I was doing well. I got podium, second, third, right in there. But that was a cool event, a good experience. 18.
Was Damon Huffman at one of those? Because he went down and did that. GL tells me that story all the time.
Oh,
maybe it was later though. Maybe
it may have been later. Those were the two. I forget who went this. Maybe he went the second year, but yeah, that was my first overseas experience and my first overseas flight back when you could smoke on flights, and you're on that 15, 18 hour to South Africa or to Johannesburg, and it's just like I'm in the back, and I swear they smoked a pack right in front of me.
Well, I would always say, like, can you put me as far back in this, like it mattered, right? It's like having a no peeing section in a pool. Right. It's all coming around. But they'd put me, I'd be in the no smoking section, and the row in front of me is smoking.
Right.
And I'm like, what are we doing here?
But yeah, so that was my first one there. Then I started doing some overseas stuff with Catherine and them. And I remember actually we did one in, I think it was Italy, and Marnique Baravots. I was battling with him, and then I ended up going off into there was around a track, like a field track, and I'm in the sand pit, and I'm coming out of that. It's like raining. Anyway, after that, some guy, they were like approached me to like, hey, do you want to come race in, I think it was Spain. In Spain, like, come over and ride and do races over there. And I'm like, I'm at 18 at the time still. I'm like, no. So I passed on that back then. But anyway, I did a few of those, and that came back maybe later about freestyle. I started going over and really doing a lot over there. Yeah,
we'll get to that. Catherine's rig. Did you ever see her little van?
Yeah.
It was like she made it out of plywood, and it had like this weird shaped roof, like a little. If like, Mexico put together a space shuttle, that's how I picture it would look.
Yeah, it was like what is that one movie? I can't think of it. Where they're in the desert and it's just like stuff built on top of it.
That's kind of what it looked like.
Thunderdome,
yeah,
something
Mad
like
Max.
That. Yeah, Mad Max. There it is. Yeah. But I remember one time she was like, she wrangled
sweet.
this, super nice. But she wrangles, like I remember we were in Germany one time and Ronnie Lachine, myself, Mike, everyone's there for this race, and you guys in bed by 10, and so, of course we tried, but I don't know.
It didn't work.
But it was good.
That's funny. Okay, so what about so you come back in 95 and did some racing, or was that year you got hurt and you quit, you think?
I think that was around there. Yeah.
Okay. Because it looks like you raced January to June, and then nothing for the rest of the year. So maybe summer of 95.
Yeah, that's where I think I got hurt, and then I came back 96.
And what was 96? Suzuki? And was it? I think you were on a Suzuki.
I did. So I went from that Honda privateer team to a, which I got to mention Rossini Racing.
Oh yeah,
helped Timmy Ferry out a lot.
RRP.
RRP. There's so many good people that helped me out through. I mean, I ended up going and racing East Coast Supercrosses and staying with Scott Sheik and all this. I don't know. So many good people out there that take you in and help you get through this.
Yeah.
Even though you're not. I don't know. I look back and like, it's like, are we brainwashed? Like, what's going? Like, you just keep going, even though the money's not there. You just keep going. But anyway, yeah, a lot of cool people that helped me along the way for sure.
But it's hard to quit. I mean, to tack onto that a little bit.
Yeah,
it's like
all the time, and
you've invested your whole life into it.
You don't know anything else.
You don't know anything else. Yeah. You're capable, like you have the speed, but there's no guarantees. Dude.
Yeah. So is that next race thing, like, like that, like you're saying, you can get there and have done it, but yeah.
Well, all right. So 96, you didn't do many races either. Doesn't look like you did a 250 round, or was that 97? Maybe these results aren't complete. I just have you at Orlando and Atlanta.
I don't think those are, because I wasn't. I was out there. I mean, we have a whole stint with. When was that? I had a few firsts too. SMP.
Oh yeah.
Riding SMP for Team SMP when they had a 125 team. First guy to wear baggy gear. Actually, first time I wore it, I was racing East Coast.
Okay.
And this is a pretty good one. I rode the whole. That was with Rossini, and. So Orlando was the first race, but then one of the races was Tampa, and I was riding well. And I remember John Dowd was riding 125s that year. And so I'm riding, and they make this jersey for me. It's like an Ace Ventura button-up with my name and number on the back, right? Okay. So I'm on the line, but I have it untucked. And like 30-second board goes up, and they're like, you got to tuck your shirt in. I'm like, what? So I jump off my bike, and they hold. I'm like, tuck it in. I'm like, all right. So tuck it in, take off. But I'm wearing, the S&P gear with a button-up Hawaiian print, like full Ace Ventura shirt. But I'm riding good. I don't know if I got the whole shot or what, but I'm first or second right there with Dowd the whole race. And I think I qualified second that night. And I was riding really well, but then me and in the main, right off the start, I jumped in, and me and Timmy Ferry got together, and I went down. So another typical, like, man, I'm feeling good tonight, and then something happens, and the results don't show.
Was that 97?
That might have been
96.
In there.
Okay.
And I was on Suzuki then.
Okay. 96 then, and I was trying to figure out, it has you on a Suzuki, but was it Stiffy? Did you ride for Team Stiffy?
No.
Oh, okay.
SMP.
It was SMP. Okay.
Gear-wise. But SMP had a 125 team in there, too. Yamahas we were on.
Yeah.
And I was riding West Coast then, though.
SMP was, when they came out, man, that was cool stuff.
Yeah. It was, you look back at it now, but at the time, that was
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then somewhere kind of in this window is when Krusty Demons of Dirt came out, Moto Triple X came out. There was like the Moto video
98-ish, I think.
Is that when it was?
98, 99 are in there.
Did that change kind of did that like trigger something for you in your head or no?
Not really originally. I mean, we'd be doing Palm Avenue example. We were doing motos, 30-minute motos, and they go, and then, hey, let's go watch us do this cliff jump. They were out there to film this. So you're just going, having fun, showing them, not knowing where this is going to go or lead to, right? So, and then they come out with the video, and obviously it was groundbreaking, and, and the story from there. But we were just going, hey, check this out. It's cool.
Yeah.
No one really filmed us back then or anything like that. We were kind of talking about that earlier, but we just did it. No one got paid. No, not that I'd never no royalties or nothing from anything. You just went out and did it and stuff like that. But it was cool. But then that's kind of started leading into the transition, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I want to figure out kind of where that happens for you. When we'll get there, but let me see here. This is the end of 97. So 98. And let me ask you this. One year, and I don't know if it was 97 or 98, it was in that window, they had like a freestyle jump team at the LA Coliseum. Was that you?
Yeah.
And you had like...
Unfortunately.
You probably don't want to like associate with it. But you guys were supposed to hit this one triple.
Yep.
I wasn't racing, so maybe it had to be 97. It was the
fair?
opening round at 97. That's
Coliseum.
What it was. Yeah. And so there was this triple like on one side of the stadium.
Know it. On the right.
And you guys were supposed to hit that and do tricks, but it was like really soft.
It was hard to clear the triple.
Yeah. Yeah. And so you guys didn't you have like sparklers or something like attached to your fender?
Something like that. Yeah. They had this whole, so
how did
that show really, that kind of ruined my main because, so I qualify and, I have but I missed my gate pick because of this halftime show.
Oh my gosh.
So I go do the show, and so we got to hit the triple. Edgar Torrentieres was there. He had the best tricks at that time.
Yeah.
I didn't really have anything, just especially off a jump like that. We'd have to go to, or we'll get into Europe, but so I try to just do a big whip off of it, right? And I come up short, and I come back, and I crash, and then I just get up and go, hey, and the crowd, likes that you got up.
You did crash?
Yeah.
Okay. I remember you guys casing the triple, and I'm like, they can't do anything. They can't get over it.
Yeah, I crashed, and then so then I get up, and you go over the finish, and you just like hit the other triple and can't do can't do nothing. It's like it just didn't work out well,
Right.
And you're at a motocross event. Like, of all the shows I ever do, it's funner when you take it where it's out of place.
Yeah.
Right? You're on the beach. You're on the snow. You're at a downtown
Warped Tour or
something. Yeah. You bring us in any event like that, you kill it.
Yeah.
But you do it at a motor. I mean, you can still do it. It's nice. I know we do. We've done it, and they all do it. But when you do it on the track, it's just not as exciting, right?
Yeah.
Because the jump, unless you bring in a ramp, and we didn't even have those back then.
Yeah.
But anyway, that show, good intentions, but it didn't really go that well for me.
And I think it was really the first one they ever did in a Supercross, and probably spun off of Jeremy doing the knack, right? They thought, well, people love that. Let's put together a little jump show at halftime. People love it.
But we just didn't have I couldn't clear the jump.
When
to
you
do
were on a
knack.
125, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So I'm trying to clear the thing on a 125 and trying to do something cool off it, and it just didn't work out for me.
Okay.
So then I come back, and then I'm late down to the gate, so I'm last pick, so I'm way on the outside, and then this is the night Deegan won, I think.
Yeah.
And then and it's because I was on the outside that he won. If I would have been inside, I would have probably took the win. I'm just kidding. So, but I come into the turn, and I see that. I saw some clips of that, and I could see myself just get off, pushed out of the hay bales. And anyway,
Did you not
way back
throw a fit a little bit? Like, dude, I'm doing your halftime show. Like, you're not going to hold my spot?
It was just all happening. It was already in motion. There's nothing I could really do at that point except try. But it didn't work out for me, that one.
Okay. So again in '98, who did you ride for in '98? I couldn't find this out either. Like, I couldn't find any.
'98. F&S Suzuki, maybe.
Okay.
I ended up remember Tony LaRusso?
Yeah, I do.
I ended up picking up his ride, or I don't know what happened, but picking up his ride. So I went from Rossini to him, and I was doing East Coast stuff, East Coast races, and that is very close to this transition, because my transition was I was actually raced the first freestyle event they put on was in Las Vegas in '98.
Okay.
And I raced Daytona, and then and did qualify, did okay, whatever, but didn't really make much money or whatever. And then Mike they would haul the bike there or whatever. One of his practice 250 Hondas, brought it there so I could ride that at the Vegas show. So I'm riding a Suzuki 125, and then I fly to Vegas to ride a Honda 250 at this show where, the first one, the first couple of years, the jumps were gnarly.
Yeah.
They're 90 footers, 95, like just all dirt to dirt. It was a night show. That was like the spectacle, like they helicoptered the SMP team in, like it was cool. Like the show was cool,
Yeah.
And then the riding, I think I got like 7th that night, but I made money. The purses were $50,000. Like it was a big purse, and that was one of the things from the the AMA to the part of the vibe of the transition was that the money's not there, right? You make the main in the 125 class. What's 20? Like $100, $200.
It's like $180.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, something like. That's making the main, and then you get 10th. It's like $350, $400. Like what I mean? It just wasn't, and it's still. I don't know where it is today, but it was kind of like a little bit of the frustration of that too, because all the first guys coming over doing freestyle were racers.
Yeah,
obviously. David Castillo was.
Yeah, I think pretty much all of them, all you guys were just frustrated with the state of the sport, understandably. Like you said, it was.
Well, if you're not factory guys and they're, winning and, if you're back here kind of privateer making it happen, like the money is not help working for you.
Well, yeah, and
even today it's probably the same, but I don't know where it's at exactly.
I think they're a lot better, though, because, like, when I rode for Mitch, 95, my salary was $30,000. I wasn't crushing it, but I could make a living, right? I could stay alive on that. Where I think now they're a couple $100,000 for that same ride.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. So,
but there's a lot more rides now.
Yes. Yeah.
I
went, and I can't remember if I helped judge it or if I just went and watched, but there was it at Havasu? I think it's the one where Pastrana got hurt, where he jacked his hip up.
There was one.
Did you go to that one?
Yep.
Okay.
We were in.
I remember Feist was riding up onto a car and doing kung fu moves, and it was very. There was a lot of showmanship that went into it,
for sure.
Which was just different.
We were at a lot of us. I remember a lot of us were at an MTV event in Cleveland, I believe.
Okay.
And again, I borrowed a bike to ride that. I'm riding some 125 Yamaha. Anyway, doing a show. There was a one jump deal. So it was like me, Mike Jones, probably Travis, Clifford. Like a lot of the main guys were there. And then we all flew and then caravanned into that show at Havasu.
Okay.
I do remember that. And then the track is a big bowl, and then you have jumps coming in each side.
Yeah.
And then you could jump across into the. It was some.
This is pretty cool.
Yeah, it was cool, but jumping the stuff for the first time is, it's sketchy.
All right. Well, we kind of have covered, I think, most of your racing career here. You did do a couple rounds in '99, which we'll talk about, but it was really when you start making that switch over to freestyle. And I want to talk a lot about that. We're going to take a little break though. It's your Troy Lee Designs timeout, guys. Hang out. We're going to be back with more Tommy Clowers. This is where his story gets really interesting, so stick around. We'll be right back.
There's a new product on the market that's going to help you with your riding and racing, and it's Elevate Action Sports. If you've not yet gone and checked it out at elevateactionsports.com, it's a collective of riding coaches, the likes of which has never been put together. Grant Langston, Ryan Hughes, Jeff Emick, Johnny Campbell, and myself, David Pingree, bringing all of our years of experience in professional racing to one place with professionally produced videos and all kinds of supporting staff to help you with your mental side of racing, your physical side, your bike setup, your bike maintenance. We cover it all. Get to Elevate Action Sports right now and join the community.
Dunlop. There is a reason every AMA championship in the past decade was won on Dunlop tires. They are the best. Choose the best performing tire and a brand that has never wavered in their support of our sport. Choose Dunlop. Pro Circuit. Pro Circuit products are designed with one goal in mind: winning. Through passion and hard work, Pro Circuit has operated the most successful 250 team in the history of the sport. They use that same formula when developing exhaust, engine, and suspension parts for every brand. When only the highest level of performance is acceptable, trust Pro Circuit.
Since 2009, Seat Concepts has been dedicated to making the best aftermarket seats. More comfort, more grip, more riding. For 10 years, we've continued to raise the bar. Innovation and American craftsmanship make Seat Concepts the world-leading manufacturer of power sports seats.
Something from nothing. That's what Nihilo Concepts is about. It starts with a spark, an idea, a concept, which leads to a design, and finishes with engineered excellence with the highest quality products created with durability in mind. All our products are made in the USA at our state-of-the-art facility in Stuart, Florida. Whether you are a weekend warrior, ride for fun, or at the highest level of competition, Nihilo Concepts offers innovative titanium, aluminum, and carbon fiber parts for your dirt bike. We offer a wide variety of products that you can customize to your liking. Browse our site for foot pegs, brake tips, engine components, specialty tools, frame grip tape, lever grips, carbon fiber components, motor stands, our secondary on-switch, plus much more. Head to NihiloConcepts.com and see for yourself why factory teams like Red Bull KTM, Rockstar Husqvarna, Troy Lee Designs Gas, Orange Brigade, Club MX, KLM Gas, and some of the fastest riders in the world choose Nihilo Concepts.
Specialized Bicycles. Specialized leads the way in the world of bicycling. Whether it's cross-country racing, downhill, e-bikes, enduro, road, gravel, dual slalom, dirt jumping, or all mountain bikes that do it all, Specialized has the perfect ride for you. The brand is synonymous with engineering excellence and innovation that steers the industry. Visit your local Specialized dealer for a test ride and see just how good Specialized products are.
I try to keep on keeping on.
With a rich history in motocross, ProX has been dedicated to supplying quality components since 1975. Whether you're rebuilding an engine or just need a new chain, ProX Racing Parts aims to bridge the gap between OE quality and affordability. ProX has over 9,000 part numbers and over 60 different product types that are manufactured by highly reputable or even OEM suppliers and are offered at affordable prices to help keep riders on the bike instead of in the garage. Visit ProX.com to search parts for your bike or check them out at your favorite online or local dealer.
A lot of us have been talking about the Stasic generation of riders, and you forget how quickly things can change in a sport that is as young as motocross. That's 6-7 years that these bikes have been around training riders. So we have a Stasic generation out on the racetrack. A lot of those riders surely were raised on Stasics, and the skills they show are next level. All the things that coaches have been teaching riders on larger motorcycles for decades, they're doing it younger than ever, and it's hard to believe the Stasic generation is already here.
Welcome back. That was your Troy Lee Designs Time Out. Get over to TroyLeeDesigns.com. All of the new summer gear is out for moto. New helmets, paint department's going, mountain bike stuff. TLD's just really leading the way with design stuff. Troy got an eye like nobody else. So check them out. Okay, let's get back to your story here, Tommy. So we're kind of, through 98. And you did some 250 races here, I saw. Some 250 Supercrosses too. Is that just for fun? Just kind of jumping
I think I rode both classes some nights.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I tried the
Mike Young style.
Mike Young and Barry Karsten. Yep.
And how was that for you?
I think that was on the SMP days.
Oh, it was?
Yeah.
Okay.
Me and Grayson Goodman would I qualified for some mains.
Because the mains were $1,000 or $1,200 in the 250 class back then.
Yeah.
So it was like a lot of guys would go try to do well in the 125 class and then just qualify for the 250 main and then
for some extra money.
Yeah, just make
it was a lot though, a lot of riding.
Yeah,
for sure.
Dude, I remember watching him, and he would just be Chris Young. He'd get off one and get on the other and right to the line. I'm like, holy crap, he's right just all night long. He's riding.
And it's almost like you make the main. If you make the main on the 250, it's like,
damn. Yeah. I just go do a lap and pull it in, I think, at that point. Okay, so you talked a little bit about the first event you did in Vegas, and I don't know where that was in relation to the one I was talking about in Havasu. Just prior to, like, same year? I think it was kind of pretty close to that.
It was pretty close. They did like a three race series to start off, and maybe Havasu was one of those. I don't. And then the last one was in Vegas. Maybe it was called the IFMA.
I remember.
I believe.
That, yeah.
And Lewis, what was his name? Jeremy's friend.
Lou Lawrence.
Lou Lawrence was, and man, there was another guy that raced was part of that. Anyway, they were heading that series up, and that was kind of the first series that was the first series that sparked it. And I remember they had like $50,000 purses, and so there was some.
I wonder who was putting that money up. Did you ever find out? I mean, like,
I don't know.
Who's just got that kind of cash to? That's
I don't
pretty
know.
gnarly. You know, you don't know if anyone's going to show
Well, that's
up.
what I mean. We don't, and coming from their racing, we didn't have, like we were talking about, the money wasn't unless you were top, 5, 10, top 5 really, and then you have the other stuff coming in. But yeah, so that was the kind of catch, and then so you went over and we started messing around with it, and once I saw that, I'm like, maybe I need to start trying to take this more serious, and I ended up building a jump at a friend of my house, Jim Haynes, Fudge, in Alpine. And he let me build a jump on his property, and then that's when started turning around and hitting jumps.
So what were you, like when you went to these first ones, what were you doing? What tricks?
Just whips, no-footed whips, I don't know. Not a lot.
I mean, there wasn't much. Like it was cans, knack-knacks.
Yeah, I mean, knack-knacks, I was doing those. I actually did those pretty well.
Kiss of death, the fender slap. It was like a lot of that.
Yeah, like just kind of. I mean, even if you see our good tricks now, they're whatever. But back in the day, but even before that, they're pretty. You're working through it.
It's a work in progress, people.
Yeah.
But you kind of started to see writing on the wall, like, hey, maybe there is something here. I mean, just the fact that off those probably couple of events, you made more than you made racing all year, I would guess.
Yeah. No. Yes.
So, okay. So then when did it, I guess, were you kind of just limping along through 99? Because you did a couple of rounds in 99. But it was 2000 X Games, I think, where.
Well, 99, actually, it started kicking off in 99,
okay.
The freestyle. And I was in it. I was fully in it in 99. Well, I was transitioning, but I was.
Careful.
I was really
careful
leaning.
saying you were transitioning.
Oh,
from motocross to freestyle.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I was going towards freestyle, right? And I was just doing the other stuff. But because 99 is when our first X Games was in San Francisco.
Oh, that was 99.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's when my last practice broke my wrist. I see you had some dots somewhere.
Yeah,
Do you have dots there?
I have. This was a navicular.
Yeah, so I had surgery that day by Chow. 3 pins put in right here.
Is that navicular?
No, it wasn't navicular, but last practice, I took off from the spot we were going to take off for the first during the run, right? And I never took off from there before. I don't know what happened, but I came off and I just didn't get on it enough, and I just came up short. I don't know if I drug the back brake a little bit or whatever, but I came up way short. And just there's a shot of it. I was on Suzuki's, and just boom, and just went backwards, broke this wrist. Man, it hit my chest super hard because I wasn't running a crossbar pad so I could do a bar trick. Wasn't the best at the bar trick, so I needed all the room I could get. But,
right. Oh God, no bar pad.
Yeah. So that day, so I broke my wrist. That was the last practice. So I probably would have, where you're at.
So how did you get invited though to that? Like, how did they know who to invite?
That's what I think. That's what I mean. I think we had LMX races. Or event. We had freestyle events going on. Before that, and again, there was only a handful. There's only 20 people doing freestyle at this time around there, right? Something like that. So LMX, that's what it was called.
Okay.
I don't know if it was invite or you qualified. I
can't
for me,
remember.
I mean, I was one of the top guys, so it was like, hey, X Games is coming, and somehow, I guess, it's not like now. Now it's strictly invite, but and a small group. But
back then they were probably like going, we need everybody we can kind of.
Yeah, it was the first. It was like another event that was there. Paul Tabley was doing kind of the main person there, I think. But yeah, so San Francisco was the first one.
So you sorry I cut you off, but you were saying you kind of got to feel like where you were going to.
Yeah, just like just like race or whatever. So I would have probably got third that year. Travis obviously would have won, and I forget second, either Clifford or Deegan or maybe Metzger, right in one of them. But I was right in there I felt I would have probably got third. So, but didn't happen. So ended up getting surgery that day, and then I actually came back down and.
You didn't get a bronze medal, but at least you got surgery. So
right.
That's cool.
I got medal somehow, right? Yeah. So I come back, I go to the doctor, I come back, and Dr. Chow was the X Games doctor also. And he looks at my x-ray down there and he's like, oh, we need to go back and do surgery. I'm like, what? I'm all, no, I want to watch the event. Like, it was just getting ready to start. You know, and he went and did my surgery in San Francisco that day.
Why was it such a...
I don't know.
Oh.
I was just like, okay. So went in. So I was in surgery while Travis was jumping into the water. You know.
The bay.
So.
Okay, so that after that event, it didn't go well for you. But like, were you like, okay, this is a path. Like, I need to.
Yeah. So healing up from that, and then I learned, Gravity Games was, I think, 2000. Like, so obviously you're hurt. You can't participate. You can't earn money. Stuff like that. And I was coming up. I felt it. Like I'm getting tricks. I'm coming. I'm getting confidence and stuff like that. And I don't know how much. I don't think I really won a whole lot yet, but I was right there. And Step Up. Well, we didn't have Step Up yet. That started next.
That started
next year.
2000, right?
Yeah, and all the events. We did Step Up every weekend at other events. So. It was started out as the halftime show, right, at Irwindale Speedway. I think it was the first one. So 2000, that's why that cover on Racer X is kind of special to me, because that's from X Games 2000, and that was my breakout year. Like, I got second behind Travis, which was close. It wasn't just give it to Travis. It was, I was riding well. It was close. And then obviously the Step Up won that there. And it was just like that to me, that we had that first year, but that second year was like Freestyle Motocross is here. And we had a big influence on the X Games.
And I would say, kind of just elaborating on that, I feel like when the motorcycle events happened, they were maybe the skate quarter pipe was big, or there was a couple other ones, but like everybody flocked around to watch the dirt bike stuff. Yeah,
that's what I mean. It was, all those props to anybody at that level. I don't care if you were riding the
luge,
biker Sherlock, the rollerbladers out there. But dude, they're going so big. But the ones I did, like Skate Vert, I really like Bike Park or Bicycle Park and Dirt. Stuff that I related to more the bicycle side. But I liked watching them all. Anybody at that high level was killing it. So respect to everybody out there. But yes, you start our bikes up, people look, right? We're making noise where everything else is not real. There's no motors.
Yeah.
So, and we're jumping bigger, we're jumping higher. Our setup is bigger than what they had back then, for skate and anything like that. But, so it was a
well, dude, it's
attraction.
It's a freaking spectacle. And I remember, did you do the Navy Moto X World Championships they had one year in San Diego? Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
I remember being down on the floor for that, and Twitch did this backflip over the length of the whole little section in the middle, whatever the dirt jump was. It was, I don't know how big, it was huge. And he backflipped it. And me, as a guy who's very familiar with dirt bikes, shouldn't be a big shock to me. I was like, holy shit. Like, it just blew my mind what you guys were doing. And I'm thinking, if I'm that blown away, like a guy who doesn't know anything, they've got to be just like losing their mind.
Yeah, but it quickly fades.
Yeah.
People are impressed, but they quickly, what's next? What's next?
Yeah.
What's next? So, it was that was the breakout year, and that was the, now we're not freestyle this sideshow. We're freestyle with ESPN coverage and all this type of stuff. Right now, people are going, huh?
Oh yeah.
Industry, sponsorships are going, huh?
Yeah.
Look at these guys. And that's when things start clicking. Even, AMA took over and started doing a series that we ended up doing all around. Like, it's yin and yang, right? You need both. But you start getting the TV coverage backing you, then you start getting the interest.
Oh, yeah.
And
I remember, because 2000, I was still racing. I was kind of in the meat of my career. And I remember hearing the money that you guys were getting from gear sponsors and energy drink companies, and I'm like, damn, good for them. But like, it's crazy.
Speaking of that energy, I was the first rider to wear a Red Bull helmet.
So I saw that you wrote that name. What year would that have been?
90. So that was when I was hurt doing my rotator rehab thing. I was living down in PB at a friend's house, and I was washing cars with my buddy at a car wash business.
Okay.
And we were washing cars. I was like, wax on, wax on here. So I'm rehabbing and doing that, and my dad and Mike Craig go, "What are you doing?" And they're like, "You need to get back, get out riding again and stuff like that." So they got, I started getting back into it again, and then, 98. So anyway, the point of that, in 98, they had X Games in San Diego, and it was in the beach area.
Okay.
Right. So Red Bull and Solomon or whatever had this athlete house, or this house that just had parties. That's what I remember. We would ride our bicycles over, and we would go, and they had jacuzzis, they had food, they had massages, they had just. It was insane. Red Bull vodkas flowing, or what was it, Jaeger bombs, where they do the Red Bull and Jaeger. And it was just like awesomeness, right? And so we're sitting there.
How'd you get in?
So someone got us passes in, like to get in or something.
Okay.
And then the guys, I don't know, a couple days, I would go there as much as I could. A couple days throughout it, and we're sitting there, and they're watching some a motocross movie on there, and it was disturbing the peace. And they're like, I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's me, man." He's like, "What? Oh, that's you?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's me." He was jumping in the house and did it. He's all, on the cover." He's like, "Really?" And then they go, "Well," into the weekend, they go, "Hey, do you want to ride for Red Bull or be sponsored by Red Bull?" I'm like, "Okay, what does that mean?"
What's Red Bull?
So yeah, so it was like, it was called the Wings program. So it wasn't a helmet, nothing like that. It was just Wings program, they call it. You get coverage, or you get a magazine shot. You had to take a photo or however you get it to them, and then they'd pay you for the coverage you get.
Okay.
So I'd have to justify it, I got something, I sent it in, boom, boom. So that started in 99.
And you were just having like a logo? Or?
Yeah, I just had a Red Bull logo on my helmet, on no helmet I had. And then but I started getting so much that they're like, huh. So it was either into 99 or 2000, like they were like approached and said, "Hey, do you want to have a Red Bull painted helmet?" Like a can. I'm like, "What is?" So that was the first one with the Red Bull in the for motocross in the States, and then shortly after that, Mike Jones joined on.
Okay, because their race team, the KTM factory race team, I rode for them in 01 and 02, and we had a Red Bull. Just chin bar and logos on the helmet, but it wasn't the full silver and blue. But that was 01. So you were before that, and even before that team went to the full cans. That's cool.
Yep.
And it was not like Red Bull wasn't that well known back then. It was
it was like we didn't obviously. Monster wasn't really a thing yet or anything.
No.
Like there was no other competition for him.
Yeah.
So it was something new. Another thing, and I don't know if Alpine Star gear, I was the first to wear Alpine Star gear over here. Not because it was before they sponsored any teams or anything. And that story.
Yeah, that would have been really early.
Because this goes into 2000, because if you look at 2000 pictures originally, before I had, because I wore Alpine Star shorts, and my sleeves were short sleeves too, mostly, but I had short sleeves and shorts, and then I had knee pads and boots.
Okay.
But that's a weird story. So with that, I was getting ready to sign with Fox, and then I told Gabrielle because I wore Alpine Star boots and stuff like that, and then they didn't want me to wear the Alpine Star boots. They wanted me to wear Fox boots, and then so I tell Gabrielle that, and I don't, he's like, "Oh, we're on the phone, like the time difference was 9 hours or whatever." But so it was like a last minute deal. Like I'm supposed to go sign the contract with Fox like the next couple of days, and he's like, "No, let's work something out." He's all, what do you, so we did it over the phone. They sent a contract. I'm like, all right, so what? But they didn't have gear.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, I didn't know they even made gear back then.
They had so you had the jerseys. Well, what do you want to wear for pants? For now, let's do Troy Lee. So I wore Troy Lee shorts, like the mountain bike shorts,
okay,
with Alpine Star jersey and gloves and boots. That was my original start until they got the pants developed.
And did the shorts just give you more like mobility? Not so much.
That was now you could, but yeah, that's what I was going with is, a lot of foot tricks and stuff like that. So that's why I didn't wear knee braces, even though I rode knee braces my whole racing career. But yeah, I went with that.
Yeah. Okay.
But that was anyway, that's a little bit too.
Yeah, no, that's super interesting. I thought it was way later they brought gear up. So I didn't know they even made stuff back then. But it was only in Europe. That was part of their agreement. I want to say with parts is they couldn't sell the gear in the U.S.
Yeah, there were some reasons for that, and then 01 I think is where you'll see like then I'm full. I got the shorts and the whole settings.
Yeah,
Alpine Star.
So you started a streak in 2000 with Step Up. 3 years in a row you won gold, and you were crushing. So gold in 2000, 2001, 2002 in Step Up. You won gold again in 05, but you also won the Moto X Freestyle silver in 2000. So you got a gold in Step Up, silver in Freestyle. Like, you crushed it in 2000.
Yeah, that's why it was the breakout year.
Silver in Step Up in 03, silver and bronze at Aspen and Vermont in the Winter X Best Trick. There's a lot to unpack here. Talk about the Step Up. You had said you were doing some of those around the way, but like, how did you get? It's sketchy. I've sat down and looked at the face of the thing, and I'm like,
why?
Yeah, no, I'm out. Like, I had no interest in either.
A lot of people, and that's where it started as the halftime show, like I said. And the first Step Up was a legit, like, out of a Supercross Step Up. It was a bump, and then the landing of a jump, and they put a pole. So the pole was like this high off the ground, like on the landing, and you would hit the bump and just get over the pole. It's just a halftime show that Paul came up with. At the LXD event. Okay. And so so the first one, we're all there, and I would just kind of wheelie and drop it, and then like to preload into it. And I won that one, but that's nothing what it turned into be. That was just that one. And then they go, okay, then they started building the lip into the backside of the jump, and using one of the landings as the landing. So that got incorporated to every weekend. So I won a lot more Step-Ups than just X Games golds.
Yeah.
I don't know what the number is, but it was a thing every weekend, and because there was a extra opportunity to make money. Was it fun? No.
So you didn't necessarily.
You're hitting your chest on the bars. Every lip is different too, because it's all depends on how it's cut that day. So some are super steep. Your wrists, I remember, would get sore. Your fingers get wrenched back. Like, so you'd start feeling things like this, like, man, and then you hit it and you land and you're like, that hurt. Oh, I made it though. So now I got to go higher. So your reward for making it is I got to do it again, but go higher.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not a fun one.
No, I can see when you guys land. I mean, you come down like a ton of bricks.
You have no momentum, right? Yeah. You come down and that's where I broke my collarbone on it once in Arizona. I came and I turned and I was way too sideways, landed sideways, came down, bam, broke it. But other than that, I made it look pretty smooth, I guess. Like, technique-wise, had good technique on it. I guess I attribute that, a little bit to Palm Avenue days and stuff like that. Yeah. But there's really, Mike, I remember Mike was in one of them because guys would dabble in and out, not really with the tricks, but Step Up or something like that. But he did the one in Vegas. I think I won that one, but there were a lot. There was a lot of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was. But then when you get, then you start getting Jeremy coming in, and those guys. And I always said I saw some posted something that they just come in and like didn't think they would be good at it, and that's not true. I always knew that any McGrath, Carmichael, when any top racer would be great at it. And then one thing that doesn't, I think it's talked a little bit, but their bike isn't the same bike I can get or ride, right? I'm on a stock. I have suspension and a pipe.
Yeah.
That's it. And I mean, in 05, I was on a stock bike and I won, and Jeremy was in there. But so, it can help. It's not everything, obviously. But step up was just you didn't prepare for it. We're doing freestyle. Okay, now it's time to do step up. Same bike, same gearing, same everything. We weren't building bikes for step up.
Yeah.
And so I never did build a bike for step up. I would start messing with gearing a little bit, but not, I don't know what was built for step up or this or that, but I guess my point is I just wish it to take all that. It would have, as it got going more, it would have been like some sort of, you have to have suspension, obviously, but some sort of engine rule just to make it a level playing field. Again, I didn't ride it, but it'd be just I don't know, kind of unknowns that go through my head a little bit. But I did well in it and had a good run at it.
Did you have any kind of like it seems like the pictures you would just pretty much go straight over it, but just found the right timing, where like Renner would kind of go and try to get sideways over it. I mean, I've seen all kinds of different.
Mine was more like a bunny hop.
Yeah,
like on a bicycle, right? I go up and I suck it in, and then I would turn it. If you get the lip, and that it all depends on the build of the jump and the right lip and the right angle, and you're comfortable with it. Some you just hate, you just weren't feeling it, but you still try to go for it. And some were really working for you. I remember 2001 at Philadelphia. That one I felt really good. I think it came down to me and Travis at the end of that one, and I won it at 34, and that one felt really good, and I got a good turn on it. So that was probably one of the better ones.
Would you ever seat bounce?
No, you got to be
sketchy as hell.
No, because you gotta get the forward. You got to get up as it gets higher. You got to get up obviously quick enough, but you still got to get over it, right? So you'd always play with getting up your front wheel above it, but then still once you start doing that is getting out far enough. So it's a tech. You're sucking it, then you're pushing it, then you're leaning it. You're doing anything you can to get over it, and it's scary sometimes, especially when you're like, and you're trying to hit you only have 30 feet to get to do it, right? So it does start coming into when the heights get higher. If I had more traction, or if I had a gear that ran out better, because you're always playing between first and second, right? Am I going to, and again, we just started it. Our heights never really changed. And again, it all depended on the lip. If you build a lip, because that's where you get all your speed. If your lip is typically 10 feet-ish tall, and we were going 33, 35, or right in there, or 34, 35, right in there somewhere. But if you build that thing 15 feet tall, now you got more room to pull, right? You're going to go higher. And I'm fine with. I was always told that I'm fine with that. Build it as high as you want, but build an appropriate landing.
Right.
Right.
The landings are always too flat.
Don't give me a landing that's the same size as the lip and they're both 15 feet tall. Like, I need this thing a step up. And 93 was the best like that. You could ride a quad in between the lip and the start of the deck for the landing. But sometimes they're really close. So the higher you go, you start pushing out, and now you're almost landing flat or right at that transition, right? That's when it starts getting. You see, like Renner.
Didn't Ricky smash his face one time? Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You go. That's where they find out it's not fun, And they'll. I'm sure they'll tell you the same thing. It's you're coming down like a ton of bricks, and you make it look easy when you do, but when it can bite you at any time.
Did you ever have a big get off on step up?
I thought my worst, not really a lot. Just that one in Phoenix where I broke my collarbone was pretty much the only real bad experience.
Yeah, I could just see how it would go bad. If you tapped, didn't Ricky stall too? Isn't that part of what happened to him? There's a lot of ways it could go sideways.
I think, he didn't have any to gas out.
What about the Winter X Games? This was always crazy to me. Because you guys would put spiked tires in, right?
And it was crazy. We were flying into there the first year, and we're like, what are we doing? Like, you could barely – I don't think – we couldn't land in where was the first one?
Was it Aspen or was it Vermont?
It was Vermont.
Okay.
It wasn't Aspen because that was the next one. So it was Vermont, and we went to fly from Denver or something, or I forget the airport. But me, Clifford, and, are on the same flight. They circle back, go back there. We had to rent a van, get in the van, drive. Everyone's driving up there
because of weather.
Yeah,
oh.
Clifford, his dad, and I think a couple other of us. We're in this van. We drive in there, and we're just going, "What are we doing? It's just snowing. It's like you don't ride motorcycles in this." You get there, and then they're putting screws in our tires, and it was sketchy.
Well, and the crazy thing is the first one, none of you guys have any idea what to expect, right? Mm-hmm. So just talk us through how that was. Like, what does it feel like even riding with a bike with screwed tires? And
so if
they were watering the snow too, right? And salt to get it to freeze. And
yeah, you need it to be ice, right? So if it's ice, it's not too bad. But when you're when you're transitioning around the jump, there's one jump 90 feet around there. You're coming around, but when you get off the ice, it's like mud. It's like you're in mud, really. Same type of
even
deal.
with the screws.
Oh yeah, they do nothing. They just push right through. But on the ice, it's not that bad. I mean, and we're only hitting one jump straight. So
would it get rutted? Would you get a rut?
It would get some ruts a little bit. So you would I don't know if I remember I would hit you try to find your lines, right? But I would come over and try to get something that no one's going to or whatever. And the lip itself would be, it's not a perfect smooth lip, right? So, and it's ice. So you look at the lip and and you can't walk up it or nothing like that. I mean, the first jump on it is really whoever went first. And then after that, props to whoever, I forget who went first all the time.
Props
but
to that.
Because, obviously after that, hey, what gear? Oh, third on it, and we talk, right, what up? But, then it's just, everybody starts doing it.
Yeah.
But it was a little intimidating. I mean, they all were that one, but then we went to Aspen. And it turned into, if there's any, if it's snowing, we're done. Because it's not ice. It's going to get that layer on there, and we'd be all. So everyone I did, we were able to do. But, it was always that kind of weather type of vibe there.
I feel
and then the bikes don't run very good at all, right?
Bikes slow as hell.
Yeah, they have to jet them and stuff like that. And so I've never ridden a snowmobile to this day, but when you started seeing what they could do, also it just kind of made sense for them to do that thing.
Yeah. The snow.
But when you come down on a snowmobile and no-handed lander, come on. What are we? You're on the couch.
Yeah, that's like being on the freeway in a car and going,
yeah.
Look.
Yeah. I mean, props to them again. I mean, they're huge and, for whatever they did on them. But
what about landing? To me, the sketchiest damn thing would be I'd be afraid when I land that my wheel would sink in. Did they have the landing hard enough?
Yeah, they had it hard, and no issues with that. It would just be more of a I don't think you saw a whole lot of whips and stuff like that because you don't want to. Or at least you don't know what you're testing, but you don't want to come down at an angle and easier to slide out and stuff like that.
So what were you guys doing? Just kind of straight tricks?
Yeah, for me, I wasn't doing a lot of. I mean, I could whip it, but I wasn't doing a lot of whips for best trick. That isn't gonna do it. But I would do double knack Indian air. That was my big trick at the time. I think Jonesy won with a kiss of death. He did. I think I got second the first year. And he got the kiss of death, but second and third, something like that. But yeah, it was interesting for sure.
Yeah, that was to me. I was just kind of I feel like they're reaching here. This just doesn't belong,
right?
But to your point again, anytime they'd fire bikes up, I'm sure everyone is like, "Whoa,
yeah,
what's that? Let's go watch this."
Yep.
Did you ever ride the snow bikes? Because they brought that in for a minute.
Mm-mm.
Those are fun.
Yeah,
that would have been a better event. Talk about the money at the X Games, because I was blown. I don't know what it was like in 2000. I'm sure it got ramped up good. I did it in 07, 08, 09.
Yeah,
Supermoto. And with the bronze, dude, I made more. It would almost been like a Supercross win. It was good money.
What's a Supercross win?
Well, for me, I'm talking back in the old days.
Oh, you mean all together?
Yeah, it was.
Like bonuses and stuff?
Yeah.
The purse, I think it's more now, but the first 2000 purse that I did was 10 grand for step up, and then I got second, so it was 10 grand for second and freestyle.
Okay.
From X Games, and then you have your bonuses and all that stuff.
Did that purse grow as you went on? Like in 05, did you make more than you did in 2000?
No, because they limited the field. Like X Games is invite only, and so they only invite 5 people to step up. So there wasn't as many people where it was, I think, 10 or something before. So they made it like of all the events, I think like step up wouldn't pay as much as freestyle would.
But it was still good money.
But no, it's still great money.
And especially you doing multiple disciplines because you were doing best trick, freestyle, and step up, yeah? A lot of times?
Nah, I wasn't. Summer didn't have. I didn't do best trick in summer.
Okay.
It didn't really. I don't think we really had it back then.
Okay.
And then I did it in winter was best because that's all we did one jump. But then even that best trick one, man, I remember watching that sometimes and you're just like everyone's just getting carried off.
Bro. I'm
like this is not good.
I know. Well, like when Travis did his double flip. I mean, I've never been so nervous watching the TV. ASPN did a good job of building the drama.
But for Travis, Travis doing it. But then when you get guys that haven't proved themselves as riders, but they send in footage of them doing a backflip or a double backflip or whatever, not to name names, but
the guy with the gardening gloves, right?
Okay. And then you get there on the main stage, right? It's different than your practice facility at your house or wherever it is. You get there with the lights, and X Games is a made-for-TV. I mean, originally it was more, in my mind, about the athletes, and obviously it was made for your TV there too. But as it went on, it became more made for TV, and athletes were more of a side note.
And spectators aren't even.
And I would always tell people towards the end of like Staples Centers, like I'd watch it on TV, man.
Yeah.
Going there and watching it live, it's a long, drawn-out process. And I like to, like at San Francisco is in an open area, and we did it on the back of a jump. I like to warm up with the bike, just, I don't know, you kind of go through little things you do. But there at Staples, it's like everyone's around you. You're like in this, and okay, you got to start your bike up. You're trying to, okay, can I get in? I'm like it's just so tight quarters, It's like I wanted to rip it a little bit and get on, so that was hard to, it's a different environment is my point of it, and you got to be able to perform in that environment. And then when you get the people that aren't proven as professionals or however you want to say it, get out there and they get spooked or they lose confidence or, because some of them would just pull out and not even do what they came to try to do or whatever, But I don't know. That was just something I saw too is like, I don't know. I think you need to have a little more. But they don't even do it now. So
yeah. Well, I don't know if they've learned their lesson or not, but I'm sure that they've figured that out because it is, even from a racing side, from the supermoto side, they would be like, okay, start them up, and everyone's pulling tire warmers off, we're getting ready to go, and then, oh wait, hold on, guys, we're going to commercial, and it's like,
that's what,
bro, we just pulled tire, like. Okay, put tire warmers back on. Like
you're getting pumped up. You're doing your thing on the line, and wait, now I got to start over.
So I'm sure it's the same with you guys. Like,
yeah, you're getting mentally prepared. I mean, that's where there's a lot more mental doing freestyle or even step up or whatever. It's just right now. You don't have a moto to work it out, laps to work it out. I mean, I know everybody has to be on it right now, right from the gate drop, but it's more mental. Like you got to be committed. You got to know what you're doing. You got to, especially on tricks, know what you're doing when you're turning the corner. I would drive myself crazy mentally visualizing my tricks. And I would be walking through the airport. Yeah.
People thought you were lunatic.
I mean, even I couldn't stop myself. I drive myself crazy. I'm like, gosh, stop. But that was my practice. So I could get where it's just clockwork, right? Yeah. Because you go there and the skaters, they can go out and ride their skateboards. BMXers can ride their BMXers just to warm up and mess around. We can't do any of that.
Right.
We can't start our bikes up and go mess around. We're just start up. You're in the course, and you don't have a lot of wiggle room to warm up or anything. It's like, okay, I'm hitting the big jumps, right? And they're all different. So you have to. So my thing was I started doing visual preparation and stuff like that, and it worked out for me. Even in the when we were on tour doing the IFMA or the it wasn't IFMA, but the
LMX,
and even more into the when Feld was doing the tours. I'd be in the locker room and everybody's and I'm like, yeah, and everybody's like giving me shit, and then I'm winning. I start winning. I'm doing well, and all of a sudden I start looking around.
Everybody going,
I'm like, oh yeah, and they'd write their stuff on their bar pads. And I never wrote tricks on my bar pads because I didn't like when you come into a corner and you're trying to look, and it just messed up the flow of the corner, right, and the whole run. So I try to remember everything. And the biggest thing with freestyle, you can't repeat a trick, right? So you repeat a trick, your runs.
It's docked points.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, that's a missed opportunity on another trick. So you're not going to get a score on that. And that's, so you shouldn't be repeating any tricks. You're not going to win that way. You can do variations of stuff, but you shouldn't be repeating them, and stuff like that. So
that's interesting. There's actually scientific studies done that show if you add enough like detail and context to a visualization, your brain doesn't know the difference between actually doing the rep of something and just visualizing it. So like it works.
I didn't. No doubt that's just what I started doing, and I still do it to at different levels. But yeah, I really relied on that a lot.
Yeah, that's rad.
Out there.
So of all of those golds, medals, was there any one that stands out to you?
I mean, obviously the first San Francisco ones; those were the first, and then I mean, they're all great, but the 90, I think it was 2001 at Philly, that step up was a good one. Everybody was on me, like, you're at the start, but they're like over here, like trying to mess with you and stuff like that. And at that time it was like, I think it was the three-peat. So, you have the pressure of the expectations and stuff like that. I try not to, I don't put, I was just confident at the time, you know? And so, but you do have all that and stuff like that. So that one felt good.
Was that Gravity Games? That was where Kerry did the first backflip, right? Didn't land.
Gravity, yes.
What did you think when you saw that? Where you're like, ooh.
Again, you're confident and you're fired up. And my run was after his. I ended up getting third that year. And I'm like, for a second, I've never even messed with it. I'm like, I wonder if I should try that.
Just right there,
just right, because it was a step up lip. I never even hit the lip in practice or not. I didn't want to. It was Kerry's thing, He shoveled the lip, and out of respect, I'm not going to go hit the lip and mess it up because now you're up here. You can't go look at the lip, right? So I don't. You didn't want to mess with anything like that. Is how I took it. Yeah. But no, I came to my senses and didn't do any of that. So. But he, he came close.
But did you see like, okay, it's doable? Because I think
he showed everybody for sure it's doable.
Yeah, I mean
he just came off and crashed. So, but
so did you think, okay, I'm gonna have to learn this, or were you like, nah, I'm not doing that?
That's where I've heard some stuff like people, I don't know, and sometimes I read comments but they think I got out of because of the backflip. And that's not the case at all. Like, that was so new, no one had it yet. So we still had, when was that, 2003 or so?
Ish. Let me see.
It had to be, I think it was 2003, because that was the year I got third. But I wasn't even paying too much attention to it that way. Okay. And I was down in San Diego, which, no, not a thing, but I wasn't in the mix with riding up here in Temecula a lot. I didn't have, then the guys started building foam pits. So I wasn't really messing with that. And also at that time is when we started doing our own ramp to ramp shows. So Jeff Tilton and I created TNT Action Sports. And then I approached Red Bull and talked about, hey, we do shows for you and like a marketing thing. And my focus went from contest to that because it was Red Bull, right? So it was built around me, and we started doing shows all over the country for Red Bull at Red Bull events. It's a biker rally. It's a what they call them, chili cook-offs, like big concerts. Back, Washington, we're jumping Beale Street at midnight. We're at Tennessee. We're Kentucky. We're all over. So then that became my thing, where that took my focus off of trying to learn tricks for a contest. I already had a bag of tricks, decent, good bag of tricks that I can do at shows. And now, and that's the other thing is you always have that aspect of on contests, you're being judged by somebody, right? And it's not easy. I did some judging afterwards. And when you're a judge, you're doing your best, but that's their paycheck, right?
Yeah.
So someone was always not the happiest, right?
Anything
afterwards.
judged is tough.
Yeah. So that was just one thing too. Hey, we're doing this. We worked a deal out with Red Bull, and we were doing 40, 50 shows a year.
Oh, damn.
No, we were working. We're on the road. You're a trucker, then you're a carny setting up, and then you're the star of the show doing the show. Then you reverse, and then you're back to the next spot. You're on the road. I mean, we did a lot of stuff with. We did I don't know, 20, 25 stop tour with Disturbed. We did. There were some other things mixed in there and stuff like that. But we, our motto is do it while you can. And we did a lot of shows out there. And so my focus was on shows. So I don't know.
Was that more lucrative for you guys?
Yeah. And it also, it was just, I was getting burnt out on the contest too. I've been at it for, 3 years at just going. And then you start, and you're having your time, not everyone has their time, but the people that do are winning. You kind of do that. And then you do your run and you were winning 2 months ago, and now someone that wasn't doing as well catches a trick or something that they're doing better, and all of a sudden they're beating you, and you're like, wait, what's happened here? What's transition? I'm still doing a good run, but it's kind of like it's changing, right? Your time is passing there. So I'm like, all right, So all this is kind of happening at the same time. So then we start doing these shows, and we work it out with Red Bull, and we start doing shows for Red Bull, U.S. Open of Surf. I mean, all this stuff. We mix in. We start doing 18 days at Sacramento State Fair every year. I mean, we're all over the states. We even took it down Guadalajara, Honduras, stuff like that. So the shows became my priority is the main thing. And so my focus wasn't on the backflip, and I didn't need the backflip, and everybody that did try the back or started doing it or attempted it, they got hurt. You got hurt, and I learned, I mean, everyone knows this, but I really set in on 99X when I broke my wrist that I can't now go do gravity. I can't now go do this, right? So I couldn't keep rolling. So you're confident in what you're doing, and I feel I could do anything anybody else did on a motorcycle at that, except win a national and Supercross, except racing-wise. But on a trick-wise, pretty good, right? I'm not saying it, but pretty good. So, and I didn't start freestyle until I was 27. So at this time, I'm 35. I'm getting up there in age where I don't, I always would tell myself I'm younger than I am, or if I even thought about it. But, just all these, anyways, a lot of things that were taken into consideration. It wasn't like, oh, I'm not going to do that. So it was like I had these other priorities, and those priorities were to be at that event, putting on that show for the crowd or whatever, right?
Was there a concern, did it run through your mind that this freestyle wave might not last? Because I remember saying, well, this is cool, but I think it took a lot longer to get to that point. I think we're there, where the progression has to stop at some point, right? Mm-hmm. It went way farther than I thought. I never thought a double backflip would happen. Mm-hmm. Some of the stuff the guys are doing is crazy, the flares and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, was that Paget?
Yeah.
Dude, that guy is
unreal.
I think probably one of the best freestyle guys ever. But he
kind of missed the window, though.
Does he ride X Games? Well, they didn't even have it at X Games anymore. I don't even know X Games. I don't even know when it's on anymore. It's not that I wouldn't watch it, but it's just not.
No, I know.
I don't know. I don't know what, you know what I mean?
They've taken a lot of the cool stuff out of it. It's lost. It's certainly lost its horsepower. So that was my point. You're riding this wave. You're winning golds, but I mean, in my head, I would have been like, okay, I've got this opportunity that's solid, that I can go do shows. I don't have to worry about being judged. I'm with my buddy. We're having fun. Or do I hang out here, go through all that pressure building up for a few events a year, and if they go sideways,
Right.
I lose my ability to make money. Like that would have been going through my head.
No, that was So the focus was turned to that, and exactly that. If you're not, they call it a dead sailor if you go up and you don't do a trick, right? If you don't feel it and you squeeze with your legs, you come back down, turn around, and go do it again.
Yeah.
Like let's go have some fun, man.
Yeah, right.
Back to what you work. Let's go back and have fun, right? You get to that point. So it was refreshing, and it was cool. The hard part, it's not gravy. The hard part is you're in different scenarios. We would ride on snow, but we would ride on not the snow. We would ride on wood. So then they'd put paint the wood with some sand or something. If we did it on the snow, we did some stuff for events there. I think one of our first ones was U.S. Open of Surf. You're on wood again because you're on the beach. The condition, the setups you're put in are different.
Yeah.
Some are uphill, some are downhill. You may not be able to set up with the wind or against the wind. Like you want to be with or against it. Any crosswind is the hardest to deal with, and you have a 16-foot landing. And so the wind is your biggest nemesis out there, right? So there's still a lot of risk, right? And you got a pad to a metal ramp. I think, I don't know, it used to be if you could, Tommy Clowers' Close Call. I was in Pittsburgh. We were doing shows. It was like the second day, last show. I come off, and my bike bogs right at the top. And I just react and just jump over the bars. And I made the deck and then the landing. I just made the landing, and I just boom, skidded down and bruised up. Didn't even hit my head. My bike came in, boom, broke the tank, all this stuff. But that's always, a malfunction of the bike is something. I've had a few things like that where a hub broke on me, and I'm like, raw, and I landed flat. And a couple close calls. Australia, I went into the ramp on Krusty Tour. And landed on the ramp and went in between the bag and the truck and fell to the ground. My bike stuck, broke the shock in half because we were jumping over a band. Mike Sinkmars was in front of me, and he pulled off. This is not blaming nothing on him, but I just remember he pulled off, and I went to go up it, and I just drug the brake or something, and it just was coming up way short. So that one I tried to push back to hit the bag,
yeah. But
your momentum is a lot, more than you think, and I landed and just right into the corner, but I was okay. I was banged up, but I was able to still ride. Couldn't perform how I wanted to, but still ride the rest of the shows. That was about the 5th show, I think. But so there's still things out there, and you still have to. I love that they're using those airbags now, that all air.
Yeah.
I've never landed on one, but they look way safer. But there's things with that you could bounce off of it, and now
yeah,
there's always risk.
Nothing's
in there,
perfect.
Right?
You're jumping a dirt
there's
bike.
always risk, but anyway, that was the thing. It was more towards longevity. It extended my career out, I believe, versus going and trying to keep developing tricks and stuff like that. So it was a good avenue. I mean, Red Bull was one of my best sponsors in my career, and very thankful for that. But yeah, that was kind of my thought process.
So how long did you and Tilt do that show?
Man, I think we started in 2002 or 2003 all the way till 2010-ish.
Oh, wow. Okay. It was a good run.
Yeah.
Huh. Were you getting – so we talked about going over and racing moto events around the world, Europe and other places. I remember – do you remember Diamond Dave? Dominguez.
Yep.
Is that right? He was doing flips.
Yep.
Dominguez. Yeah, Dominguez.
Yeah, he's out of San Diego. Right?
Yeah. That's why I thought you might know.
Yeah.
Well, he came to a race in Portugal. I'd never met him, and he did a flip, literally just a little kicker ramp. It was probably only 4, 5, 6 feet tall. It was little, and just flipped down the backside of a berm. It wasn't that big, but dude, it was still crazy to watch the first time. Back then, and when you hadn't seen it, it was like, whoa.
No, it's an impressive thing, and then, and then on the show, everyone's, backflip. You can do backflip. You get all the hecklers. So we actually did start bringing a guy in to, because again, we're already in our mode, if they wanted someone to, would have a 3-rider show or 4-rider show or however it developed, whatever the request was for, So.
Yeah. So he got paid, I want to say $10,000 to come over and just do a flip. And I know Metz was getting double or triple that in some places.
In the like, that's where it could have paid off. If you would have did it, if I would have did it right away, right after Carrie started working on it, or started working on it right after Carrie did it. Those first, because I remember when we went to Krusty Tour, the year I went to Krusty Tour, Deegan was doing the flip, and he was getting extra for that. So it was lucrative and could have helped in that time frame.
Yeah.
But after that, in doing the shows, it wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
But I was just, risk to reward, and I just chose to just I guess
play the long
play
game.
it safe a little bit. But
yeah, I get it. I wondered too, and maybe you guys were a bigger, like more of a collective family at first, but freestyle definitely got to where it was like groups, like there was the militia guys, Travis and Bartram, like he had his crew. Where did you fit into that whole thing? Like,
I'm just around everything. I'm like, I didn't have especially, that's funny. Like, I remember some of the Irwindale and, I think Irwindale Speedway, we were characters because they would have a girl in a cat suit next to me. Then Flying Hawaiian had someone in Hawaiian. And then Deegan had, we all had like if you had TomCat, I had a good nickname, and they played into it.
Yeah.
But that was promoting the event. The events were cool. Like it was the whole 90s vibe,
Yeah.
or early 2000s vibe, that you would have those, those kind of characters that you built. And that's where Deegan built the militia. But Deegan and my relationship wasn't that, like, he was always cool to me. We were cool, I remember Brian from Ponca City days, and we're rollerblading in Ponca City, Oklahoma. I've known Brian from the early days. So nothing, but we've always had respect for each other, and we never had anything. I mean, that was the same with Mike Metzger, with Jonesy, with everybody. I get along with everybody.
Yeah.
I have no.
So you guys were it was all pretty casual and cool.
Yeah, they may do their thing or whatever they're doing. That's their thing.
Yeah.
I didn't have a thing. I was like, I don't know, and I'm not going to join their thing because that's not me.
Yeah.
So I really relied on my writing, I guess. I was pretty quiet. I didn't really. That was kind of one of my downfalls, I think, is if they told you don't do any tricks after this is your last trick, and then bring it in here to the thing. I would do the last trick and I'd bring it in here to the thing, right? But then you'd get guys that would do another lap or do another trick, and then they get the crowd, and then they're doing the worm out on the thing or dancing or this. This really hurt me in Europe against Edgar Torrentieres, because especially when you're in Spain or whatever. But he's a showman, and I wasn't as good a showman as I should have been.
You had
sometimes.
like the racer mentality,
Exactly. Yeah. I speak with my writing more than I did with that side of it, but probably could have got a couple more
some points here and there.
Well, in Europe, you're getting paid to come over there anyway. Same as writing, show up money, and then there's not really a purse there. You get the cool trophy, but this and that, it's all about crowd applause, literally.
Yeah.
So, but
all right. So you came back to X Games in 2011 and did Step Up again?
Mm-hmm.
That's a big gap. And if I understood this right in the piece I wrote, you said it changed a lot. Everyone was on 450s. Were you still riding a 252 stroke?
No, I rode a 450 that day.
Okay. Well, tell me about that and what.
So.
And where was it? LA?
Yep.
Okay.
The gap wasn't my choice. The gap was I wasn't being invited. So I had to send in a video to show them I can still ride because we were doing shows or whatever. I don't know what that was about, but got back in 2011. That was during we were up in Sacramento State Fair doing shows, 3 shows a day, 3, 5, and 7. On my 2-stroke, all right, I'm going to go to X Games. I brought my 450 up there, loaded it up, drove down to X Games, did X Games, and I went back. And then I went back to Sacramento and finished the shows. So I was never that comfortable on the 450. I always rode 2 strokes in freestyle. Like I said, I still have not that you can't get comfortable, but I just never back to the, I don't know. Not a lot of guys were riding 4 strokes in freestyle yet. And so I'm not blaming that, but I just I wasn't feeling that great on the bike.
Yeah. Did you do freestyle or was it step up?
It was just step up.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Just came down for step up. And so I was really hammering in practice trying to get the feel and stuff like that. And I come in, I remember McGrath wasn't riding it, but he was there and he's like, dude, your bike's just smoking. I'm like, what? So I don't know about keeping these things cool and all this. And Deegan had a fan or something, like, and so the bike was smoking. We didn't have electric start. So I remember one thing that played into this, I was kicking that thing to start 10 to 15 times, at least 10 times each time. I was tired.
Yeah.
I was like, so you're on the now you pull up, you're on the line. All right. Now, you're saying, okay, go. Oh, no, wait. Okay, go. And like, it's not just vroom, vroom. It's like kick, kick, kick. I'm like, dude, come on. And you know how that gets you a little bit, and you're like, I don't know. I just wasn't flowing with me. So I couldn't start it. You're sweating in your goggles. You're fogging up. You're, I don't know. But yeah, so I wanted it bad that year. Wanted to do well. And the last attempt, Jeremy did. I'm glad he called it out in the call when I watched it later. Was the second one I wheelied. It wasn't a wheelie, a big wheelie, but it was I power wheelied into it, and I didn't want to wheelie into the lip, so I shut it off and just like that. And I'm like, God dang it, it's just a bummer way to go out. But you gotta live to ride another day. If I had wheelied into that, I've never wheelied into a step up lip like that. I don't know what the reaction could have. It could have been good, but I don't know. I chopped it and didn't go for it there. That was not. No one wants to be wheeling into it. You could shoot out, miss the landing, all kinds of stuff. But that was a bummer. But
so were you out in a early round, or did you get to the final? Where'd you get? How far?
I got to. They didn't go super high that year. It was like third round or so.
Okay.
But I should have, anytime I enter it, I'm hoping for a...
Yeah, of course. Well, especially when you've been winning most of them. So at that point, you said 2011, you'd have been about done with the TNT tours. Yeah?
Yeah, now we're getting almost 2011, 12, I landed my job.
Oh, okay. So this is right. So...
Yeah, this is towards the end.
The decision to go do that, how hard was that for you? Like,
I did I remember got called to go do some shows in, God dang it, I'm blanking.
In the U.S. or outside?
No, outside India.
Oh, okay.
For like a month. So me, Mike Mason, Jimmy McGuire. There was 4 riders. Was it Byton maybe? 4 motocross guys, 4 skate guys, 4 BMX guys, and we went and did shows for Mountain Dew over there for like a little over a month, and we hit 6 different spots. It was a big old. It was cool, man.
Was it cool?
That was a good experience. It was we all got shot, the malaria shots and all that stuff, vaccines, and we get over there and everyone's kind of. It was my first night there. I get there and I got the 99.9 DEET spray and all this stuff. And let's have a meeting down at the lobby, get to the hotel. I'm like, all right. So I throw it on in the bathroom, go down there thinking we're going somewhere, but we didn't end up going nowhere. And I'm like, man, I just don't feel that good. So I head back up, go to bed, wake up in the morning, I go to brush my teeth, and I spit and it's like black. I'm like, what's going on? I look at my tongue, it's black. I've only been here one day. What's going on? And so I put the DEET on in the bathroom, and I guess the particles got into my mouth and changed the color of my tongue.
What the hell?
Yeah, it was a trip. So you're taking malaria pills, and you're putting that on, and all of it is just sinking in. You just didn't feel right the whole time.
Well, I've never been to India,
weird.
But I've heard it's dirty and it's like a little sketch.
The airports are amazing. Like, there was go-kart tracks at one. Like, they're amazing. The malls are amazing. 8-9 stories tall. We do autograph signings there. Everything in between of that,
trash.
the no-go is not good. You know, like it's just on the side of the streets. Like we got to get out and walk in the shit water.
Really?
Yeah, it's. I mean, the people are not. I mean, it's just their way. You know, super nice, great people. You know, great experience. Went and saw a lot of like temples. You know, went on some. You know, we were back there, so it was more. We just shows on weekends, so it was a lot different than your typical trip overseas. It's like land, get with your mechanic, get your stuff ready, do your thing, get unloaded, back on the plane home. You spend more time on the flight than you do at the event, right? Yeah. But this was the opposite. It was a little more touristy and trying to find time. I mean, we were staying in nice hotels, but every time you come out to get in the car, they even at the malls and everywhere they have these long sticks with mirrors on them, check under the cars for like bombs and stuff like that. Like we never had any issues or anything. It was a good experience, but it was a different experience.
Yeah, sounds like it. Jeez. So when you finally made the decision to go, okay, I'm done with dirt bikes. When was that, and how was that?
So at that time, that's why that was the last trip performing really, and I was studying. But like even on the planes, I was studying material and stuff like that, you know. And then when I came back, started really working, you know, trying to network, and that's where my career helped me in the end. I was in a fall protection class at UCSD, and the teacher recognized me, and then, you know, I'm talking to somebody else, and I get a ride along with somebody. Then we had lunch with someone else, and then I end up working, you know, then you have an opportunity for a job, and then they call me. So, you know, and it's still not as much, but especially because it's pretty fresh what I used to do then in 2011. You know, my career helped me get to a new career. That's a little awesome. Bit. So that was cool.
So that had kind of helped the transition not feel so, I don't know, so scary or so like.
It was still, I mean, yeah. and you're right. And at this time you're not making money, you know, it's, you got bills to pay. You're not making nothing. Yeah. I'm paying for all this schooling myself, right? No one's paying for it. I'm paying for it all. I'm not out riding, making money. I don't have sponsors. I don't have salary contracts coming in. Mm-hmm. So you're eating through a lot of the savings and stuff like that. So it's a stressful time.
Yeah, that's one of the scariest things for me. I wasn't worried about starting over, like, you know, gladly swallow my pride and start at the bottom, but it was like, how am I going to do this? I had to pay to go to medic school. It was $10,000. Mm-hmm. Plus, you know, how do I earn money? You know, like I took a huge pay cut. We actually did that Dave Ramsey envelope system. Have you ever seen that? Mm-mm. He does this thing called Financial Peace University, and you put cash in envelopes, and they all have a, you know, like this is eating out, this is groceries, this is this, that. Oh, okay. When you're out, you're out. Like you can rob from one to put in the other,
like budgeting.
Yeah, it was just hardcore budgeting, and that got us through, man. Like it was tough.
Yeah,
those are tough times. So do you like the job that you're doing?
Yeah, it's challenging, you know. I mean, trying to mix it in and make it cool. But it is, you know, I feel I do a good job at of blending it and being, you know, production and safety together. It's not one of the, you have to combine them both. You have to think of all the, you know, the budget, you know, all the things that have to be incorporated to be successful with it. Yeah. So, that's my role. And, you know, I won't get into but I manage the whole corporate. I'm the corporate safety manager, so I manage everything about safety, whether it's writing policies, training, maintaining all documents and records and stuff like that. And so
a lot of OSHA stuff, huh?
There's not a lot. I mean, the OSHA 300 log and stuff you maintain and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, it's all, you know, that's one reference. But then you have you know, you have for utilities, you have the red book, you have just what they want. Yeah. You know, what they want above and beyond, if that, you know, so you're always working to keep your client happy and do our best and, you know, just work together as a team and stuff like that. So it's really you know, and that's where it's people go, what, your safety? I'm like, well, I'm here, right? There's a lot of things that when you're riding, how many decisions are made in one lap? Like what, you have 20 ruts. How many ruts? What rut? Now what? Now you're landing. Now that rut. Now this. Like there's just like I didn't know, I didn't have the lingo or the acronyms or all that when I started this, right? But when I started thinking of the philosophy of it, it's the same. I'm analyzing what I'm going to do, but I did it in a different way. And I didn't use the same terms or acronyms and stuff like that. But I did it.
Sure.
We all did it. If you're going to be good at it and be successful and have a career at it, you got to do it.
Yeah.
Or you're going to get hurt. Like even Travis. Oh, he's crazy. You know, people just seeing what you see the end product. Very calculated. You know, Travis, we all are. We're very calculated. And you
won't last if you're not.
Exactly. Like the hardest part is if like natural terrain, like the desert, where you can't get a distance. It's all feel, it's all this, it's wind. But because you've put so much time on the bike and you know the gearing, you know what you can do in third and fourth. And I mean, so many things to take into consideration. But in ramp to ramp stuff, one of the things I learned this from doing the overseas shows is they deal in meters, right? And we're feet. So one of the, it was hard to get the right distance. What's this? Oh, it's 30 meters, or it's this, or I'm like, so I'd always walk it off. And so 25 of my paces is 75 feet. And that's the sweet spot of the ramp, like right where it transitions down. One time we were at Loma Linda Children's Hospital doing a show. We used to do shows there every year. And someone forgot the tape. And so I'm like, okay, hold on. And I pace it off. Because whether they tape it or not, I pace it off. Because we're doing a show in Vegas at one of the parking Palms or somewhere. And by the time we're done with practice, I'm like, man, I am barely hitting the ramp. What is going? Can you measure that? It's like it's 65 feet. So the thing kept scooting a little bit on the ground. So then we started drilling a plate there to stop it. So as what is that? That's like you're identifying a hazard. Now you got a mitigation, right?
Yeah.
So so instead of keeping doing that, we're learning from it. Now we're coming up with something to stop that. So we started putting a plate there. And that would be a thing if you're on like bricks back somewhere and hey, we need to do this, or we got to put it on some rubber pads. We had to do something to make sure to give us that brace so we can be confident in the distance. But so it's the same. So after I started getting it, this is the same stuff. It's just, so I had that way of thinking, I guess. Yeah. That has really helped me just kind of catch on to it. And
that's cool.
And work through it all.
I like that. All right, welcome back. That was Tommy Clowers, the TomCat. Hope you guys enjoyed that. What a great story. I love seeing guys who can adapt and transition throughout their career. A lot of times it's very few guys who can just stick with just racing and make a good career out of that. It's hard. I mean, as we kind of mentioned in the show. So for him to be able to transition out of motocross into freestyle, in the freestyle kind of carve his own niche out of step up and then go from that into doing shows and then now into what he's doing. It's just speaks a lot about his work ethic and character and determination. So really fun to sit down with him. Like I said, I looked up to this guy when I was on 80s. Man, he was the guy I wanted to be. TomCat and Budman and those guys were so gnarly back then. So anyway, really enjoyed that. Hope you guys did too. I want to just mention all of our sponsors, but I want to give a shout out to Ketone IQ. If you guys haven't tried this yet, it comes in a box like this. There's 4 of them. And really, really easy, clean, simple fuel for you to use just to if you're cycling for a long time, if you're working out, if you're sitting at a computer and need to focus, if you're obviously riding and don't have the ability to eat a big meal before you ride, this is a great solution. And you can try it, 30% off. Go to hvmn.com/WTM. You get 30% off. And they actually make them with caffeine now if you want. These have no caffeine, no sugar, so there's no crash related to it or jitters. But they do make one with caffeine if you want the boost. Check those guys out and really support all of our sponsors. Everybody on the board behind me here. Incredible companies that we've gone a really long way out of our way to make sure these are premium brands. We do not peddle bad products, period. If they're a partner of ours on this show, it's because they make incredible products. They're a quality company. They're going to stand behind their work and all that. So we are stoked to have these folks on board, and appreciate you guys supporting us. If you go to our website or our Instagram page, we have a list of all the discount codes, because we do have quite a few codes with different brands. You can find our discount codes on there. Use them, support these folks, and we will keep these shows coming to you. We've got more great shows coming, so stay tuned. We'll see you at the next one.
Yamaha is the industry leader in two-wheeled fun and performance. Celebrating 50 years of YZ in 2024, the Blue Crew is still dominating shootouts and competitions. Yamaha, revs your heart.
Troy Lee Designs is the leader in off-road motocross apparel and style. So whether you're looking for a cool new paint job for your helmet, maybe your name and number on your helmet lettered on, you're looking for new gear, you're looking for mountain bike gear, off-road gear, they've got the brand new Scout line in GP and SE models. Troy Lee Designs has it all. They've been leading this industry for decades, and they're going to continue to do it. Check out TroyLeeDesigns.com. SKDA is a moto graphics and seat covers company with several offices based around the globe. For too long, bikes and graphics have all looked the same. They just start to blend together. SKDA is working to change that. With super clean and unique design work, a bike with SKDA graphics stands out in a crowd and adds a touch of art to the world of moto. Hey, we need that. SKDA prides itself on providing premium customer service both before and after the sale is made. Visit SKDA online to view the current product range and get in touch with their team to get your bike refreshed. I want to just make a mention here that these guys, not only is their design way outside the box, very, very cool, they'll work with you on custom things. The products are incredible. Okay, they'll speak for themselves, but what's really awesome, and you'll notice this the minute you order one of these, man, they give you an email saying, hey, the product's been shipped. Hey, the product is here. It landed in this spot. Hey, it's coming today. Hey, your product's been delivered. They just so good about staying in touch with you and letting you know where it's at. Customer service is 100%, and that's just something that's rare these days. Check out SKDA. Here at the Whiskey Throttle Show, we're all about supporting brands that support our sport. And there's one tire company that has never walked away from the sport of motocross and supercross, and it's Dunlop. When times got tough and the economy took a crash, Dunlop stepped up and stayed with our sport to support it and the athletes and individuals that love it. Their MX53 line and MX33 lines absolutely dominate this sport. Every national championship at the pro level has been won in the last decade, and nearly every single amateur national championship at Loretta Lynn's has been won on a Dunlop. So if you're looking for high performance, you're looking for amazing quality, and you're looking to support a brand that never turns its back on our sport, there's only one choice for you, and it's Dunlop. Pro Circuit is the leader in aftermarket performance and quality. Whether you're looking for a little more horsepower out of your engine, some quality hard parts to improve the way your bike feels and looks, better handling through suspension or linkage arms, Pro Circuit is where you need to stop. It's your one-stop shop. You can go in there and get everything you need to make your motorcycle go from average to exceptional. Pro Circuit's got enough number one plates on their wall to side an entire home, and there's a reason for that. They're very, very good at what they do. The highest quality products with one goal in mind, and that's winning. Check out ProCircuit.com. Nihilo Concepts is leading the way in aftermarket hard parts. With their secondary on-switch device, something that was much needed in this sport, they've been innovating and bringing new products to market. Their latest is the new Nihilo Run Cool brake pistons. They're designed to be stronger than stock and provide exceptional cooling performance with less brake drag. Most OEM calipers pistons are made from aluminum that just can't hold up to the heat and extreme demands of serious racing. When they get hot, the aluminum will distort, causing loss of hydraulic pressure and brake failure. Nihilo's Run Cool pistons limit the area that boiling hot hydraulic fluid is able to come in contact with the piston, leaving 2/3 of the piston volume in open air with breather holes to enhance the cooling ability. It's made of a proprietary stainless blend, which is better at dissipating heat. You have issues with brake fade or brake failure, check out Nihilo Concepts among their many amazing hard parts and carbon fiber parts and titanium. NihiloConcepts.com. Seat Concepts is the leader in motorcycle saddles. If you're looking for a new cover or a new seat entirely, Seat Concepts is the place to go. They make custom seat foams catered to your height, weight, riding ability, riding type. They also have waterproof covers and foams that will not break down if you ride in a lot of inclement weather. And they pride themselves on being much more comfortable than OEM or any other aftermarket company. If you're looking for a new seat or a new cover, Seat Concepts, there's nothing better. Need to replace something on your bike that's worn out? Look no further than ProX. These guys aim to make everything OEM quality or better at an affordable price. And they've also got some new products coming. So right now, chains, sprockets, anything inside the engine internally, air filters. If it wears out, ProX makes it, and they make it at a quality level that's OEM or better. And they've got some new things coming that are awesome. A complete engine rebuild kits for the Polaris RZR 800s. Need to replace something on your bike that's worn out? Look no further than ProX. These guys aim to make everything OEM quality or better at an affordable price. And they've also got some new products coming. So right now, chains, sprockets, anything inside the engine internal, there's series popping up all over. For those of you in Southern California, go to www.ameminicross.com and join their local series. If you're outside of this state, contact your local track and ask them about starting a STASIC class at your local track. Get over to stasic.com and check out all they've got going on. And finally, last but not least, Specialized Bicycles. If you are in the market to start pedaling, this is where you want to start. They've got great entry-level bikes all the way up to the Cadillac, the new Levo e-bike, anything in between, man. It doesn't matter what kind of riding you're doing. Go check out and start with Specialized. Don't waste your time on something that's going to break. The derailler's not going to shift after a couple months. Get something quality. These guys make it. Specialized leads that industry.
Thanks for watching and listening to the Whiskey Throttle Show. Be sure to like and subscribe to get notified when new shows go up. And be sure to follow us on Instagram and TikTok. And visit whiskeythrottlemedia.com for additional content.